Hello, everyone. Test, test. If you can hear my voice, please in the chat box right now on your right hand side, say hi to me or say good morning or good afternoon. Depends on which location on earth are you. Nice to see you, everyone. My name is Jack. Welcome to our event today. Welcome to the Asian Plastic Packaging Manufacturing Summit 2021. We would like to welcome our participants and speakers today. Your presence in this summit will be fruitful and that you will learn also from our expert speakers and fellow participants too. Digitalization and circular economy are two major topics in the global plastics industry. We all know that digitalization has revolutionized the plastics industry by improving productivity, reducing production costs, and enhancing product quality. This summit gathered experts in digitalizations who will talk about the impact of this trend on plastic production. At the same time, many plastic manufacturers are now moving towards adopting technologies that will enable them to achieve a circular economy. As the plastic industry realizes that importance of the recycling and reducing recycled materials, there is much to be learned more. Our guest speakers today will be able to provide insights on how to move towards a circular economy. Before we proceed, we would like to acknowledge and thank our business partner. Dase-Sing, the Dase-Sing Group, a leading supplier of string sleeve packaging solutions for the beverage, dairy, water, and pharmaceuticals, food, and many other industries. The company is known worldwide for being a one-stop solution supplier of machines for film production, label printing, and packaging. There are close to 10,000 Dase-Sing machines operating in over 80 countries today. The summit is also supported by the Australian Packaging Covenant Organization as the APCO and the Plastic Institute of Thailand, as well as our media partners, the International Plastics News for Asia and Food Pacific Manufacturing Journal. Now, let's give you a rundown of today's agenda. Hello, dear attendees. Thank you for saying hi here in the chat box. I see all of them. Very good. Now, let's move to our very exciting agenda. Now, please take a look at the agenda now. As very exciting, we have the first speaker from APCO. She will be talking about the topic, a circular economy for packaging in Australia. Let's welcome Brooke Donnelly, the CEO of APCO. And then following, we have the Dase-Sing Group, our business partner. She'll be talking about the shrink sleeve trend after COVID-19. Vicky Chang, the PR manager of Dase-Sing Packaging. She will be the second speaker. And then followed by the Innoark. Mr. Chong Von Kee, Mr. Von, the CEO of Innoark, he will be talking the practical approach to digitalization for manufacturers. Very exciting. And then we will be having a very short 10-minute networking session. I'll be teaching you how to visit the booth and talking to our exhibitors and the other the booth managers in the booth function later. Following after the networking session, our first speaker is from Milacron, Mr. Tejas Parmar, International Sales Manager. He will be talking about creating efficiency by automation in plastic processing. And last but of course not least, we have Tontoton. The topic is plastic credit impact. Mr. Barak Ekshtein, the founder and CEO of Tontoton, will talk about this in a very exciting topic. So let's go to our live presentation. Okay, the next section is live presentation. But before we move on, I would like to show some skills, some reminders to you. First one is don't forget to join the Q&A later. We have live Q&A session for each speaker after their live presentation. So listen very carefully to their presentation and prepare your questions. Just like you say hi to me a while ago, please provide your questions in the chat box. Each of our speakers will answer those questions lively, personally later. So that's the live Q&A sessions. Second, I would like to remind you that you can have the very great experience of the networking function today. Not only you can find the delegates in the chat box, right? They also just like you asking question or saying hi. One click those profile pictures. You can have the private chat with them. Or you can go to your left-hand side right now. You can find the networking function. In the networking function page, you can find all the registrants titled by their name, company, and their titles. Welcome. Send a private message and say hi to them. Tell them where you're from, which company or which field of expert you are. And also, if you like, you can also join the live video chatting with any of our delegates today. So remember the two things. One, live Q&A for each session. Two, we have the great networking function today. Seize the chance, make some friends, and ask questions. Learn something today. Let me welcome our first speaker. Our first speaker, as I just mentioned, she will provide an overview on how Australia is adopting a circular economy in packaging in Australia. Let's welcome Miss Brooke Donnelly. Donnelly, right? Miss Brooke Donnelly, CEO of the Australian Packaging Covenant Organization. Miss Brooke, let me give you the chance to turn on the microphone and camera. And delegates in the chat box right now, say hi to Miss Brooke. Hi.
Good morning or afternoon, Jack, and everybody who is in our audience this afternoon. Shall I kick off, Jack?
Okay, let me turn on and let me open the PowerPoint slide for you. Okay, right there. And I'll be there for you, waiting for you to play the video for you. Just call my name. Now, you may have the floor, Brooke, and don't forget, I asked the delegates, we will have live Q&A later after your presentation. You have the floor now.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the sponsors of the Asian Plastic Packaging Manufacturing Summit for asking me to join you all today. I'm very excited to speak to you about the activity and the role of the organization that I'm CEO of, APCO, and our transition to a circular economy in Australia. So I've got a few slides here, and I thought I'd work through some of the information and the approach that we've taken over the last couple of years, and obviously still a lot more work to do. But a big part of what we're seeking here is to really drive the circular economy approach for all packaging, and plastic packaging is a very big part of that. So we do that through a strategic model called Collective Impact, and it's actually driving our plastic packaging targets. So the organisation I'm responsible for has a role in the transition to the circular economy for packaging in Australia, and our role is to coordinate the approach between government and industry to achieve the plastic packaging targets. And we are also responsible for the delivery of the ANZPAC Plastics Pact, which is a program that is part of the global program of plastic packs under the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and is a regional approach to plastic packaging, not only in Australia, but also New Zealand and the Pacific Islands. So a very big piece of work that the APCO does in terms of our role. So A little bit about APCO. Our job is to actually work with everyone and get everybody working together from a government and industry perspective. We're an independent non-profit organisation, and we work with a network of partners to transform the way that packaging is managed in Australia. And it's really important to understand the circular economy is a very complex piece of work in terms of it's a transition from the way in which we've been traditionally doing business in plastic packaging to a new way of doing business. And that means it involves a whole bunch of stakeholders from across the packaging value chain. It means that we are committed to an agreed and common agenda of how we will work together. We communicate this continually, and we have an evidence base to inform all the action that we're taking in regard to sustainable packaging. APCO's role is very much as a backbone organisation. So we are here to make sure that everybody understands what their roles and responsibilities are, and to support organisations and government in the delivery of that. We do that through a what's referred to in Australia as a co-regulatory model. So this is a model where government and industry work together, and APCO is the coordinating body between government, industry, and the members or signatories to the piece of work that we're doing in terms of the circular economy. To understand some of the objectives of what Australia is trying to do as part of that circular economic transition, we have these 4 key national packaging targets, which we have identified and plan to achieve by 2025. These include that 100% of packaging is recyclable, reusable, or compostable by 2025, that we have a 50% average of recycled content across all of our packaging in the marketplace, and that 70% of our plastic packaging is either recycled or composted. And we are also in the process of phasing out some unnecessary single-use and problematic packaging. So to be clear, that's plastic packaging that can't be recycled, reused, or composted, and is difficult to recover, etc. So we do that. I mentioned earlier on about the strategic model we work to deliver this work, and that is called a collective impact model. And it's got 5 key conditions that really drive activity. One is a common agenda, which is the national packaging targets that you just saw. So everybody agrees that this is what we're trying to achieve. Then we have this we have APCO working as the backbone organisation that coordinates all the activity between the various stakeholders. We then have a range of what's referred to mutually reinforcing activities. So with a complex system change, you have lots of different stakeholders who have different agendas and different roles and responsibilities. And what we need to make sure is that the backbone organisation helps to guide the various stakeholders to be doing activities that actually help to reinforce and amplify the transition to a circular economy. We do that through continuous communication and having that really open building trusted relationships. And this is supported by measuring results consistently. So it's one thing to have the targets, it's one thing to have some objectives, but you need to then measure, provide the resources to make that transition, and then you need to measure the progress of that transition. So the first step that you really have in doing that is having that backbone organisation, in this case APCO, create a roadmap so that people understand that there is a plan for action. For Australia, that's a document called Our Packaging Future, and it's a collective impact framework setting out the pathway to achieve the 2025 national packaging targets. The plan is devised around or phased, if you like, on 3 key phases. One is the foundation phase, which is essentially setting up the current state, understanding where we're at, understanding what needs to be done and what the roles and responsibilities are. The development phase, which we are in now, is very much about getting all of the strategies, the material flows, the consumer education, the disposal and the strategic approach bedded down. And then it's very much the realization phase, which is actually about ensuring that we get everything in place, and that it's tested, and that things are working the way that we need them to. So this is very much about a coordinated approach for packaging and getting everybody to work together across that supply chain. So we have we undertook this work in 2018. So we're about 3 years into this work now. And this is some of the things that we have achieved over this period of time. So we have achieved the national packaging targets, got everybody to agree to that. Australia has implemented a national recycling label program for Australia, which currently has over 600 different organisations signed up and labelling packaging on how it is to be recovered in the system. We set the roadmap with our packaging future. We have had a range of, initiatives around soft plastics, around the ANZPAC Plastics Pack being launched, around the monitoring program of how we will monitor the success of our packaging future, and then lots of pieces of work by other stakeholders such as Coca-Cola, who are now doing things like 7 out of their 10 bottles are made from recycled content, and there's a whole range of government interventions that are now also happening, including things like phasing out some problematic and single-use plastic materials, and working with industry to achieve the most sustainable plastic packaging that we can in Australia. So when we say working together, this gives you some kind of indication of the complexity of this. So this is the Australian packaging value chain, which would be very similar to your own. There's some key elements here in terms of how this all comes together. You've got your packaging production, you've got consumers, then you've got the source separation, secondary materials here and end markets, and then starting off with your raw material production. But this is also where it becomes even more complex when you start to look at all the various stakeholders that are actually involved here. So there's collectors, there's institutions, there's reuse scheme operators, retailers, recycled product buyers, importers, raw material suppliers. So it just gives you a sense of the complexity of the marketplace and how much and how many stakeholders are involved, and that it is very much a system-based issue and requires systems thinking and system design to actually resolve the issues and effectively transition to a circular economy for packaging. And so some of the things we do and some of the work that's happening now is you start off at an organizational level working with specific organizations, and then to scale up the transition, you then need to move to a sectorial approach. So that's when you start to work with particular sectors. So in this case, right now, we're working, for an example, with the dairy industry on their sustainable packaging roadmap. We're working with the horticultural industry to create a product stewardship scheme for plant packaging. We're working with the healthy care industry to explore and identify collection of rigid thermoform PET medical device packaging. And there's a whole range of these projects and activities that are ongoing to support industry and the industry sectors to transition to the circular economy in Australia. A big part of this is also defining the issues and using and providing the right resources to support industry to make this transition. And so there's a lot of work that needs to happen. And some of the things that we have done over the last couple of years has included looking at non-recyclable packaging and understanding what is that made up of. So if we look at Australia, about 11% of all the packaging is actually not able to be recycled. And of that, of plastic packaging, about 24% of it is non-recyclable as well. So then we start to break that down into the various formats and looking at what the issues are around those formats and why they're not being recycled and what we need to do to change that. So this is a really important part of defining the issues in terms of understanding where we actually and what we actually need to do. So it actually allows us to have a very sophisticated response in terms of we're not trying to do everything, we're just trying to address the gaps. And we have an 11%, well, a 24% gap in plastic packaging. And so this is geared towards understanding that. It's also about developing a range of resources and support guidelines, etc., to help industry understand what is truly sustainable and what that actually looks like. So this is more of the technical area of the work that we do. And so for an example, we have these considerations for compostable plastic packaging, which is a piece of work that we work across the industry with to create, talking about what is the ideal conditions around compostable plastic packaging in our marketplace, and what are the things that we should and should not be doing to be able to do that effectively. Then we have supporting that compostable plastic packaging is also our national compostable packaging strategy, which only came out this year. And so that is a clear strategic document that sets out how we see compostable packaging and the role of it in the Australian marketplace, and what industry and government's role in compostable packaging will look like. Another piece of work that we have, important one, is the action plan for problematic and unnecessary single-use plastic packaging. So this is a really practical framework on helping businesses to understand if they do have problematic and unnecessary single-use plastic packaging, and how they can then work to either eliminate, redesign, replace, or innovate a solution to ensure that it's no longer problematic, unnecessary, or plastic packaging. And finally, one of the other key elements and areas is our recycled content guide. So a big part of the circular economy is not only recycling more material, but it's getting more recycled material back into packaging. And this guide works hard to show organisations how they can do that with their various packaging formats, and what that looks like strategically for their organisation. If you'd like to know a little bit more about how the collective impact model works, we do have, we're conducting a summit, a collective impact summit on November 18. If you would like this slide here, you can go there and you can reserve a spot and dial in, much like you have today, to listen to a half-day session around collective impact and how it's working in Australia. So we'd love to see any of you who might be interested in knowing more. Please do feel free to join up and come along on that day. So the other area I really wanted to talk to you about today was the ANZPAC Plastic Pact, and that real power of collaboration. And this is an important piece of work. Most of you would be familiar with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and their whole global model around plastic packs. They're across the whole world now, and ours is a regional one. So Jack, if we can look at the video here on this slide, we actually have a short video. So Jack, if you're available, could you play that for us?
Plastic pollution is one of the most pressing environmental issues facing the planet. As Australians, New Zealanders, and Pacific Islanders, we are fortunate to live in one of the most beautiful and diverse regions on Earth. It is our responsibility to protect it. By 2040, if we fail to act, the volume of plastic on the market will double, and the amount of plastic in the ocean will quadruple. The time to act is now. We must work to phase out the problematic and unnecessary plastic items which so often litter our environment. We must innovate to ensure the plastics we do need are made from recycled plastic where possible, and designed to be reused, recycled, or composted. By designing better, collecting better, increasing recycled content, and introducing new economic models, we can ensure plastic across the supply chain is treated as a valuable resource and keep it in circulation in the economy and out of the environment. To achieve this, unprecedented levels of collaboration are needed from across the whole plastics supply chain. The ANZPAC Plastics Pact brings together industry, government, NGOs, academia, industry associations, and communities behind a shared vision of a circular economy for plastic, where it never becomes waste or pollution. Together, through shared knowledge, investment, and innovation, we will implement solutions tailored to Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. ANZPAC is part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's Global Plastics Pact Network, a globally aligned response to plastic waste and pollution that enables vital knowledge sharing and coordinated action. This network unites a growing community of more than 550 organisations across the world, delivering practical solutions to plastic waste and pollution. Members of ANZPAC will work together to eliminate problematic plastic packaging, keep the plastic packaging that we do need in circulation, and drive innovation to find markets and new uses for recycled materials. Through ANZPAC, organisations across the region, from multinational and local businesses to community groups and governments, are working collectively to play their part to protect our environment for us and future generations. Together, we can achieve more.
Thank you, Jack. So that's a little bit of a video around what the ANZPAC Plastics Pact is looking to do. And as it says, it's part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and the general role, which is here. And so it's really about recognizing that plastic packaging forms part of a global supply chain, and Australia can't fix our problems without being impacted by other parts of the global supply chain, or without impacting other parts of, that supply chain in our region as well. And so it's about driving those solutions from a global perspective, and bringing that back to our own domestic capability. So joining with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was really important to Australia to make sure that we were working to best practice and really working with organisations to pull all that together. So the relationship between ANZPAC and APCO. So ANZPAC is a very specific program within APCO, which is really entirely focused on plastic packaging, whereas APCO, the organisation, is a larger organisation that deals with all packaging, metal, glass, paper and plastic, but ANZPAC is specifically targeted towards actually just addressing the plastic packaging issue. And there's a range of targets that are part of that work, and they include the eliminating unnecessary and problematic plastic packaging, getting to a 100% plastic packaging to be reusable, recyclable or compostable, increasing plastic packaging collected and effectively recycled by 25% across the geography. So that's Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific Islands, and getting an average of 25% recycled content in plastic packaging across the region also. So some really ambitious targets, but very much things geared towards creating a more sustainable future relationship with plastic packaging. It's not about demonizing plastic. It's about acknowledging that plastic is a vital and important material, and helps to feed nearly 8 billion people on our planet every day. And therefore, it's what is the future of plastic look like? And so we're really heading toward these areas of just acknowledging that one of the things we haven't done well globally has been to manage plastic waste, and we need to do that more effectively. So some of the things that we do in the membership of ANZPAC is we are co-designing a regional roadmap. We're uniting behind those targets. We're working on really practical projects together, and creating a more regional impact for managing plastic packaging. And so this will really, we've got a group within the ANZPAC Plastics Pact program, which is called the ACAG. So that's the ANZPAC Collective Action Group, and they're really driving this change and a very big part of that work. And so ultimately what we're looking to do with the ANZPAC Plastics Pact is really accelerate the action on plastics, coming up with some regional actions and really creating true collaboration to address the plastic and plastic waste issues that exist in our regional areas. But that's, I think that's a little bit around, our collective impact approach for a circular economy for plastic packaging in Australia, and how we're doing that through our ANZPAC Plastics Pact program and a range of other activities. But I think at this point, Jack, we could, go to Q&A mode. And perhaps we can
Yes, dear delegates, please screenshot right now to for those contact information to Miss Brooke. Very well, a very good presentation. Let's go to the Q&A.
Okay.
Now this is a Q&A, and I hear your, how to say that, your mobile phone is buzzing?
We'll move that away, shall we, Jack? And we'll talk about the question. So
Okay.
how about we talk about an example of an Australian company that has implemented circular economy practice and what is their implementation? I think a really great example of that is a well-known global brand that is also in Australia, and that's Nestle. And Nestle have been very active industry leaders in terms of driving circular economy activities, everything from, being actively engaged in our national labelling program to get consumers to understand how to recycle packaging better, but also, here in Australia recently, Nestle were part of a collaborative group that included the waste and recycling industry and the food and grocery industry to look at advanced recycling, and they actually created the first prototype of it was a Kit Kat wrapper that was made from recycled plastic materials and suitable for food grade applications. So I think Nestle is a fantastic example of an organisation that, here in Australia is really leading out from the front in terms of the circular economy transition. Would you like me to ask some of these other questions that we've got here in the Q&A?
Yes, please publish the next one.
Okay, so what does the role of reuse of plastic play in the circular economy? It is a really important part of the solution. When you look at the waste hierarchy in terms of what are our best options, the highest level option in the waste hierarchy is reduction. So how do we avoid making more waste? And then it's recyclability, then it's reuse, and then it's recyclability, and then it's compostability. So reuse is one of the higher order solutions that we're seeking to understand going forward in terms of the circular economy. It's really important in terms of looking at how consumers and customers engage with a product, and how we can actually use less material and circulate that around and around within the system, so that we're actually using less virgin material and we're using more recycled material, and that's pulling through the system itself. So reuse is a huge opportunity and a really exciting opportunity for packaging designers and technologists in terms of rethinking how to use packaging in a completely different way. I think it's one of the most exciting elements for our industry and the packaging industry going forward. There's a couple more here. So I think we've got one around bioplastics. What role will bioplastics and other bio-based materials play in the transition away from non-renewable packaging and product materials? There is a role for bioplastics and materials of that nature going forward. It's not as prominent a role as, say, recyclability or reuse. It's actually probably one of the more lower order type responses. Compostable packaging, within a waste and recovery system is really also dependent upon having a very well-structured organic system. So you can't have one without the other. And so it's also really important that kind of work is delivered in a very structured way. And you would have seen in the presentation, I referred to the National Compostable Plastic Strategy and also the Compostable Packaging Consideration Document. They're really two very strong pieces of work that APCO has put out about positioning the role of compostable packaging going forward. And I think it's for us, it's also really important that those packaging formats, if they're coming into the Australian marketplace, it's absolutely paramount that they meet, they're certified and they're certified to the Australian standards, and that we know that they are doing everything that is being promised of them by the packaging manufacturers.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay. We have one more. On the current trend of COVID, how do we properly dispose a one-time use mask and gloves? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously that depends on your domestic, systems and whether you're actually able. So it would depend on what part of the world you're in. But if you're in Australia, those materials generally are not recyclable. But the great thing is there's lots of reusable masks out there. I have some myself. So it's always good to think about what are the reusable options before you reach for the disposable ones. And they're very easy to care for. We've here in Sydney had a lockdown now for about 4 months. So we've been using masks for quite some time. But most of those materials are not actually recyclable and will end up going straight through to landfill. So do have a look at some of the reuse options that are available around, especially around masks and things of that nature. Did you want me to continue, Jack?
Yes, I think we can have 1 or 2 questions more. Yeah.
Okay. Will businesses align their circular economy initiatives with their climate goals, or will they continue to treat them as separate initiatives? That is a really interesting question. And I have to say, I think that we're going to see further alignment of those going forward, because I mean, if you look at emissions and ESG frameworks, you've really got the scope. There is 1, 2, and 3, and quite often the waste sits in that kind of third category there. But it's really paramount to effective waste management reduces emissions in a multitude of ways, not just in terms of what ends up in landfill and the emissions that come from that. If you think about the implementation of reuse models, that is a really key way to minimize emissions in terms of reusing and maximizing the utilization of materials, so that you're not constantly creating additional emissions through virgin production of packaging materials. So I think going forward, we will see a much stronger, not only alignment, but almost coalescing of understanding the interdependencies between effective waste management and emission control, and the impact that all has, and how it works interdependently with climate change objectives, etc. So I think it's great question, by the way, whoever asked that one. And I think we've got one more, Jack.
Yeah.
After food contaminated packaging, will you consider recycle be more economical, or should move to biodegrade packaging material? Look, there's a very live discussion around how much food contamination is too much food contamination. And I think this is always a really interesting topic in terms of the role of packaging and food and how interrelated it is in terms of food waste and managing it. And I think this is where we have to be very careful in terms of food contamination being a blocker to considering recyclability. I think, generally speaking, recyclability will still be something that is preferred, and we manage the food waste contamination as a separate issue to that. And really a large part of that is around education and ensuring that consumers understand how to minimize that food contamination to maximize the recyclability or reuse options that packaging format may actually sit within.
Oh, we have a couple of questions coming, so yes, you can keep answering those.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah, of course. How will Australia's transition to a circular economy reduce costs and create jobs? You know what? It's a fascinating question, because when you think about the circular economy and you think about some of the activities that are involved in that, reducing costs is one of the really fascinating areas that we've seen in terms of the labelling program. So if you look at, most people think about labelling, they just think about the fact that you end up with a label on a product. But what's really important to understand, so the model or the program of the Australasian recycling label that APCO administers in Australia requires each organisation that puts a label on their packaging to go through a process and use a software tool that's called the PREP tool, which is the Packaging Recyclability Evaluation Program, and that actually tells you whether your packaging is, you put in the details, it's an online tool, and you put in your details and it tells you whether your packaging format is recyclable or not. What it does, but to be able to do that, is it makes you put in information about your whole packaging format. So if you have a bottle and a lid, you've got to put in the type of bottle it is, the type of lid, the label, the adhesive, all this information. And what it actually does is that, one, it makes you think about whether the materials are recyclable. But we have found with, all of the organizations that we work with, that they have actually found it a cost benefit, because it actually makes them think about all the kind of packaging that's on their product and what do they need and not need. And quite often they find, by switching to an alternative or looking at the packaging format and detail, they can actually reduce some of their packaging that they have or use an alternative. And so being better informed about your packaging format and understanding it in detail on all your product SKUs actually drives the cost down, which is a really interesting, outcome from something that's intended to understand recyclability. The other part around job creation, I mean, this is an incredible opportunity. Sustainability, is something, and there's a reason they talk about it in the context of the economy, because it does actually drive economic benefit. So yes, there is a cost to the transition to the circular economy, which will mean there will be additional costs in terms of, a country's economic position, in terms of, the cost to do this type of work. But the long-term strategic economic value is in the creation of additional jobs. So if you think about something like reuse, and you think about all of a sudden, instead of having say you make a crate out of a material that is then not reused. That material, somebody makes that crate, they use it, and then they go and throw it in landfill. If you make a reusable crate, somebody has to make that crate, somebody then uses it, somebody then has to be employed to pick it up, they then have to be employed to clean it or remodel it or repair it, then somebody's got to be employed to return it back into the system for reuse. So you're actually creating jobs by creating a more sustainable approach to packaging. And so when you start to break this down, this is where some of these really broader economic benefits come into play that aren't immediately obvious to people who are working in this space.
Yes, and it's all happening or in the future?
Yeah. No, look, it's all happening now. We're seeing really effective system changes and transitions to circular economy activities, and it's a very exciting time to be involved in this work.
I see. Okay. Because of the time limitation, I have to make you stop right now. I see that there are more questions you didn't cover yet. But however, you are Miss Brooke. You are welcome to go to the event website later to have networking with other delegates as well. And also, delegates, you have to screenshot if you want to have further discussion with the Miss Brooke. You can use the email and the LinkedIn to contact Miss Brooke, right?
Yes, you can reach out to our organisation. We're always happy to have conversations and understand how we can help others to make this transition to the circular economy also.
Thank you for your time, Brooke Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in our next future events, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, now let's move on to our very exciting agenda number 2 speaker. Our next speaker is from Dase-Sing. The next presentation is from our business partner to talk about string sleeves trend after COVID-19. Let's welcome Miss Vicky Chang, PR Manager of Dase-Sing Packaging.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Vicky Chang. Today, I want to present Shin-Sleeve trends after COVID-19. Shin-Sleeve trends after COVID-19. Shin-Sleeve packaging trends. The sheet steel and the stretched steel labor market is projected to reach $30.20 billion by 2020, and a compound annual growth rate of 5.5% from 2050 to 2020. The Chinese market is projected to grow at the highest rate over the next 5 years and will remain above the global average of 5.5%. E-commerce issues focus on how a product is packaged instead of grabbing attention of the shopper. 3D molded technology. The increased effort for the development new polyolefin field structure that fed during the wash stage of enable separation of label and bottom material. Now, in the period of COVID-19, many people choose the home delivery. Home delivery haven. Demand for the grocery and the premier F&B home delivery is skyrocketing, presented new challenges and opportunities for the consumer packing. 35% of global consumers have increased their home food delivery use since the virus outbreak. Increase the relevance of packing the carbon footprint as the key indicator of environmental sustainability amid the increasingly started climate change warning. How supply chain CO2 saving can be achieved through lightweight design. Example, rPET bottles. Fiber-based freezing documents the rising sophistication and the availability for the fiber-based solution as a viable alternative to the single-use practice. Hygiene heroes. Explore the innovation in touch-free solution and at microbial technology, catering to the hygiene concerns. One is 3% means 33% European consumer wash out in this fat or the loose item, including fruit and vegetables, while 12% now avoid buying loose. Unpacked food, reusable revolution. Spotlight the increased scalability of a reusable packing model target a zero waste world. The majority of global consumers, around 52%, believe reusable packing is the most successful model, followed by recyclable, 50%, and recycled, 39%. Degradable, 31%, and compostable, 24%. Raising demand in the minimum downtime and the maximum output. Incorporate the faster solution, increase incorporating advanced technologies such as NFC and the digital printing. Since the packaging trends according to the combination technology, a combination of first opening, protection, and the tray and the chest technology with optical security, features are becoming commonplace. About the quick service restaurant, growing the application in the quick service application restaurant, hiding the sales prospect for the ready-to-the-consumer beverage. About the regulation. Regulation requires consumer product manufactured to disclose net contents, identity, and the name and the place of a business of the manufacturer, leading to an onward curve of the Shinsley labor application market growth trajectory. Labeling speed. In 2020, most companies chose above 600 BPM as the low labeling speed. The container diameter with 50 to 100 millimeter is most likely perfect over the forecast period, where 400 to 600 BPM and the speed above 600 BPM has been the most lucrative. Labeling speed over 600 BPM will gain trends in the future, show the compound annual growth rate of 5.6%. Automation. Automation an important feature of Shin3 label application to reduce the influence of labor of productivity and increase efficiency. Why Shin3? First one, flexibility. Same container can change look completely by changing the full body Shin3. Reduce time to market and the storage costs. Second, protection of the product. Protection from the UV light and avoid the printing on the container from the being the scratch off. 3. Encourage the recycle and easily for the promotion purpose. Perforation of the sleeve allow for the easily tearing. Recyclability of Shin3. Low density Shin label that float on the water and can be separate from the PET in the cycling process. Conventional PET Shin in the water along with PET flat. The label and the ink can be contaminated the PET. Dase-Sing adhesive. Dase-Sing adhesive replaces a traditional Sing, enabling label removal in the water recycling process. Washable ink. Higher metal print so clumping will not occur in the drying system. The washable Sing ink clear. Remove from the filter during the washing stage. Perforation. Just put on the straight and the thin and sleeve the turn right away from the bottle container. Now, the consumer can toss the sleeve in the trash and place the prettiest bottle in their recycle bin for the hands-free recycling. Shin3 the material containing the post-consumer recycled contents. The field that the correct print the quality and the signature post-putty on the send the loss found in the standard PET Shin3 the film material. Ways for the brand demonstrate their environmental allowance. Example, PCR, PLA, sugar-rance polymer, eco-friendly print, downgraded film. Dase-Sing established 1985. Employee over 200 people. Market country over 80. And the headquarters location in Taiwan. And the branch Hsinchu. And the China location Shanghai. Our partner list, including the global brand, the famous brand name, and the example Coca-Cola and the Pepsi and the Nestle, including the beverage, the water line, and the cosmetic. Brands are looking for a way to energy the consumer, increase return of the market investment, cut costs, automate supply chain, connect digital component with real product, reduce time to the market, be eco-friendly. How to reduce time to the market? One-stop supply. One-stop of supply for fill, print, and the machine at the same time. Reduce time for the communication and quickly survey any problem with fill and the machine. First time to the market. Shin3 is a powerful tool for the test time to market because it allows you use the same bottle or cans with different design of the Shin3 according to different promotion can be in a short time. Digital printing. Use the most of an advanced digital printing machine for the fast assembling and the small value for the moon of a new product. As there is no need to plan and everything can be done digitally. Fill for the different application. Example, why is Shin's fill for the dairy product? It allows the better back edge of a UV light to protect the contents inside for the bottle. Okay, let me see the video about the energy saving solution. Okay, this video, you can see the long temperature Shin fill. For the product that more heat sensitive, this allows for the fill to shin and comparable lower the temperature. This is also product for the mechanical change due to the heat. Reduce the transportation costs. How to reduce the transportation costs? By the switch from the gas bottle to PET bottle, you can reduce in the can amount of the weight in the transportation to minimum the influence on the environment. PET Shin3 can now be reduced the thin to 30 micron. Means there are 25% decrease compared to 40 micron. This allows brand owner to reduce the production and the transportation costs. Also, PET can be recycled, so there is no problem with the sustainability of the packaging. The core business, including fill, printing, machinery. There are color rotogravure printing. The adventure including vision appeal, excellent color, choice and special finish, exquisite print, unique technology. How to bring on your vision? Means customer, including customer eyes. You can choose Shin embossed tattoo printing label. Also, you can choose adhesive the shingleable label. It's many different choices. You can see that the fill. Digital is a key solution to help increase consumer engagement and innovation. Frequently change morphing, personalized label, accept small quantity order, shorter delivery, no cost plan. Example, the digital printing. You can choose a very different several the printing and the small the quantity for customized. Embossed tattoo the print. Embossed tento print provide not only visual sensation but the tactile the surprise. Can easily make the product stand out above the rest. UVF. You can also make the fluorescent effect on the UV light. Very fancy and eye-catchy for the nightclub. Machinery. We can provide the packaging type 225. You can choose the full body labeling type, overall body type, capacity type, on the labeling type. Auto shrink sleeve machine. The standard low-speed machine, we call the iSleeve, may speed up to 150 bpm. Roller including the third tablet perforation. This is more easy find the bottle label turn off point. Easy to turn open the label. Convex design, intermediate design would not hurt your neck. High-speed machine. We call the model iSleeve Pro 2. May speed up to the 1000 bpm. A high-speed double head slim label. Can use the PET 20 micron and the PVC 32 micron label. When one head comes on with the alarm or issue, another head is automatically operated on the with high standard speed of 650 bpm. Of course, the label within the 180 millimeter. For the two head, allow the user to apply two different label positions need to at the same time. Another the auto shipping sheet machine. The model number is the SK2B. Base speed 150 bpm. A wider caliber sleeve labeler, suitable for the bottle type with the bottle lid diameter of 135 to 200 millimeter. Adapted dual drive system, interlink design, and the color-coded sensor for the circular and the efficient identification. Accessory. We can provide the accessory accurate unit-wide with the video. And another accessory multi-label unwind. We call this provide with the flexible shape tolerance. The quality of label real depending on the label reference width. Extend the label change time, increase the productivity. Can be the combined with the AGV in the near future. Accessory overlap machine. This machine we can design for the need to be the package to the bottom of your product. Can be directly connected to the conveyor belt of the production line. Accessory bottle oriented. We can provide over standard the camera in the 300,000 pieces. And another option, you can choose bottle orientation. Maybe you can choose the energy drink, the in regular bottle shape, and another the choice including the dairy yogurt product. inspection and rejection. Rejection either by sensor or camera depend on the different solution. The speed up to the 750 bpm. Available function, table connection, label position, and the present of label. Another function can be the customized depending on the situation. Data collection industry 4.0. OPC-UA signal exchanger protocol. Why you choose OPC-UA? Easier data collection, easier control of a production line, more secure, open, reliable mechanism for the transfer information between the server and the client. Real-time presentation of production data. Accessory, I-labeler. OPP has the metal rotary labeling machine. The speed max up to the 700 bpm. Both round bottle and square bottle can be used. Full color screen control panel system unit is user-friendly. Full server gabless control. High speed to low speed is smooth conversion. Quickly release of a lightweight design module. Quickly and easily replacement. Non-stop label feeding. Enhanced production capacity. Increment. Engage resistant. Easier maintenance. Thank you very much for your attention. If any the question, and we will go next step and answer to you.
Hello, Vicky. I hope you're ready for answering those questions in our live Q&A time. Vicky, please turn on the microphone and camera and join our Q&A mode. Oh, have you published any questions? But you have to turn on the microphone and camera to join the live Q&A. So otherwise, we cannot hear you. Oh, you choose this question to answer first. What is the advantage, right? Vicky, I still cannot hear your voice. Delegates, please just wait for a moment. I will check if Vicky's microphone and camera turned on already. Vicky, please go to the lower button. There are two buttons of the microphone camera side, right? You have to turn it on. Make it into green color first. Can you do that too? I see that you are picking the questions already. However, you have to, show yourself first. Can you hear my voice? Because great, just like that. Hi, Vicky.
Yeah.
I saw you.
Sorry, because the internet shut down, and okay, so I check the internet right now.
Maybe sorry. It's because we switched the mode into the Q&A mode. Anyway, I'm glad that you're here. So since you picked the question to answer the first, right? Please read the question and start answering to our delegates.
Yes, I should. What this is a question. Where is the advantage of a sheet packaging compared another packaging materials? Yes, exactly. Is a good good question. And the sheet labeling provide to flexibility and the design and the production, especially for the food and the beverage packing and the consumer goods packing. Okay, the city offered 316 degree the coverage on the packing and put the space for the designer to include in the information required by the regulatory entry, and at the same time create all the kind of attractive design that can catch consumer attention upon sales. Example like this one. Okay, this is we can print out the China sleeve for the total 360 degree. Okay, all the Spanish, the future you can put inside. And the sheet sleeve can be the used sale product different size. This is flexible is ideal for free sample, keeping a new the product or two-in-one the promotion. It's also widely used to reduce the accessory inventory by selling slow-moving item. Though sheet sleeve can be made from the environmentally friendly in some case, biodegradable material. So you know that in the now the world, everyone we would like to there were already the label in the market made CPET the material. There is a special ink and removed during the packing, washing the process, leaving the colorless PET label that can be retrieved along with the bottle. Other brands have opting for the retractable sleeve based on the biodegradable the fiber such as cotton, which are 100% postable this material. So since the machine, your brand can take the advantage of this trend. It's achievable to have the machine with the integrated design. The maximum the versatility is opportunity and accommodate all the type the shin sleeve. Example. Okay, you can see the special customer design. That is regular formal shape. Round shape, square shape is the customer design. You can share the trend, the picture, take it easy, also with your brand name here, okay? Example, this foot, we can keep the security. Okay, this is full body and up to the top side. You can see
closer to the camera. Yeah, good.
Yeah, you can see that. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is we can do for the bottle security. No easy the opening. If in the shop you see the packing is easily turned. Okay, this we can say you no need to buy that. Okay,
you can tear that, right? You can tear that.
Yeah, so easy to turn. We also have provide the perforation the tab, the mechanical in the sleeve machine. So we can say that the customer can do the easily and for the shipping machine and for shipping sleeve. This is different the material packaging type. Okay, then the fifth the label shipping sleeve we can provide more easily for 5 type as the presentation.
Just a moment, sorry, Vicky. You're still answering the first question you pick, right? Because we have many questions coming up. If maybe you would like to pay attention to those too. I think you answered to that, in a really long time.
Okay, sorry. So
you can take a look at the other questions too. Yeah.
Okay, next
I know there are a lot of advantage of shrink sleeve. I know.
Okay, this is okay. No problem.
Dear delegates, we have another expert named Jovi. Jovi is in the chat box too. So Jovi, maybe you could help to cover some of the questions as well.
Okay.
Right. So Vicky, try the best to answer some of the questions.
Okay. This one is what is the challenges sustainability issue. for the practice packing, the supplier or the brand owner. During the COVID-19 is celebrating the signal impact in commercial on the product packing, especially on the food packing. Practice packing is very important in the keep the food pollution free and maintain its freshness for longer the service life. Ensure that the transportation product in the intended delivery to consumer hands. According to the Chinese poll of the report in commercial, the delivery total around the 1.88 billion packages from the November 11 to November 16 in the 2020. General annual increase nearly 26% and more than 250,000 tons of waste. So it's very terrible. If the growth rate in the maintain is quadruple to 2025, reach the 41.3 million tons level, the packaging material manufacturer must be promote a variety the strategy to solve this problem. So for what? Such as the increased practice of recycling, more the reusable the packing, more use of biodigital material, and the reducing of material usage. As the packaging industry and the manufacturer must to be made the stronger attention with the green innovation potential the announcement in the future.
Okay. So I have to, you finish answering that one too, right? So Vicky, I have to say, maybe the next time you join us in the future event, you could save more time on the Q&A, right? So
yes.
There are a lot of questions you maybe you could cover, but however, delegates, Jovi is in the chat box right now. I can see that she's trying to answer the questions too for you. And also, after the sessions of Dase-Sing, you are also welcome to use the contact information or simply click their profile picture to have a private chat with them. So for the time issue, Vicky, I have to say maybe you could answer a little bit for the very last one. Okay, you can take a look at those questions and have a very short question, very short answer for the next one. All right.
Okay. Why is the challenge? The substable use the practice page.
That's the one you answered already, right? Oh yeah, this one.
Yes.
Okay.
This one is shortly is present based on the consumer trends. Why is the bigger these trends after the practice label in the design industry? Okay. And in the future, we can do that. The consumer, we can get the bigger chance. We can do the customer design and match the market requirement, and we can follow the our engineer do the different share and the customer the requirement. Okay, we can follow step by step, and even the market is loose. Okay, we can show the different the spatial, because normal come on the slim machine. We can solve that, and then we can say total solution. Why? Because our company Dase-Sing, including field and the printing, sliver machine, the business code can match the customer requirement. So if in the future, customer will do the total solution, equal the technology and the know-how, and we can show it. Because as you know that the global country, we can see the very clear COVID-19. We will use the remote connection, because this reason we can solve customer the problem easily, because rule like the remote connection the system, we can build out the module and in the slim machine, anytime, anywhere, we can serve customer the question inquiry too.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's fixed the global trend right now, I believe. So thank you for the time. Sorry for the time issue. I have to stop you right here, Vicky. But make sure that you cover those questions in the chat box later. You can use your account to go to our event website, have a private chat. Yes, with the other delegates. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, your time.
Also, thank you, Jovi. I see you try very hard answering the questions in text. Okay?
Okay.
So, looking forward to see you join our future events as well, Vicky.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Vicky. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. I believe that for delegates, right, I see that you have many questions to Dase-Sing. Dase-Sing, don't forget, is our business partner as well. So if you have further questions you would like to discuss, welcome to use the private chat. And also, if you like to arrange a meeting with Dase-Sing as well, contact us. Contact Ringer Trade Media. We will help you, Ringer Events. Maybe just simply leave a message to my account. My account now in the chat box answering is me, Jack. So welcome to leave a message if you have a request. Let's move on to our next speaker. The practical approach to digitalization for manufacturers is the topic that our next speaker will present to us. Let's all welcome Mr. Chong Von Kee, the CEO of Innoark. And special thanks to Chong, special thanks to Von that he would like to help us in the very beginning of our of this summit begin. So thank you, Von. Please, unmute. Yes, so we can hear your voice. Hello, Chong Von Kee. Please say hi to delegates, and you would like to share the screen too, right?
Yes. Hang on. Can you hear me clearly?
Very clear. Loud and clear. Delegates,
Good.
if you can hear Mr. Chong Von Kee, please say yes or hi to him.
Give me a scream. Wow.
Yeah,
So I'm going to share screen.
I like the spirit. Okay, you like to share screen?
Yes.
Just
so
like
can
that.
you see my screen now?
Of course, you have to full screen that. And don't forget to click the hide bar, the hide notification bar. And have you checked the audio sharing as well?
Yes. Is it full screen ready?
Yes, it's full screen already. You may have the floor. See you later in the live Q&A time.
Yeah, see you later. Thank you very much for Jack. My name is Chong Von Kee. You can call me Von for short. I'm the CEO of Innoark Private Limited Singapore. And we are a company that was founded in 2005. And our focus here is very much to help our client create value through digitalization. Okay. So first of all, a big thank you to Ringer for inviting me to this event to share my experience in practical approach to digitalization. So this is my contact information. If you want to get in touch with me after the event, please feel free to drop me an email. I'll try my best to share with you. Okay. So this is the agenda. I will start off with a short company introduction that is about 2 minutes. And then I will share with you, based on my experience, why is there a need for digitalization? And then I believe most of you will have heard of the term Industry 4.0, which I will touch on it at a very high level. And also based on our 15 years of experience in digitalization work for our clients, we have seen a lot of common challenges in manufacturing firms. So I'm going to share with you some of the common challenges and what are the practical ready solutions in the industry that can help clients or factories to digitalize effectively. Okay, so last but not least, there's a term that I need to introduce to you. This is a very commonly adopted in standard of measurement for machine efficiency. It is called OEE, which I will elaborate more in the subsequent slides. Okay, so next, I will bring you to a 2-minute company video. Can you hear the sound?
Increasing cost pressure with stagnant machine performance? Machine with too much downtime and don't know where to start improving? See your machine performance with analytics designed with our in-depth knowledge of manufacturing processes. With state-of-the-art sensors and IoT devices from well-known brands, your connectivity is ensured. Achieve seamless information exchange with Optimus API. Improving machine throughput by optimizing efficiency and reducing loss with a data-driven approach. Optimus, the end-to-end IoT software solution to help you quantify machine information with analytics. Optimus is a quick-to-deploy technology from sensor to analytics. It empowers you with actionable information. Our domain knowledge in manufacturing can help you bridge the gaps between the data needs from your machines and the management performance matrix. It is only through solving both aspects that IoT technology in a manufacturing environment can be sustainable. Value creation for clients is in our DNA, and this is backed by our data-driven software technology. We provide IoT solutions and process optimization for manufacturing. We were proud to be awarded the Singapore Enterprise Medal of Honor in 2018. And as a member of ARTC and ISA, we keep ourselves up to date with state-of-the-art manufacturing technologies. We know the challenges of manufacturing with proven experience in digitalization solutions to some of the world's most well-known companies. Our knowledge in the manufacturing process is the reason for your success, from data collection to analytics for key management decisions.
Okay, good. Okay, so that gives you an overview of what we do in Innoark and our product Optimus, which is in digitalization space. So next, I'm going to give you my view on why there's a need for digitalization. And it is also one of the buzzwords used everywhere in the world now. So first is the cost pressures. I believe most of the manufacturing companies are facing increased manpower costs. And also with inflation, especially with the recent hiccup in supply chain. And also in this time, especially this COVID period, a lot of our clients also face manpower shortages. To a very large extent, it is related to movement control. Some people have to be quarantined, etc., or locked down in certain areas. So that resulted in people movement issue. So when this happens, they still want to monitor the condition in their warehouse, their machines. So digitalization, remote access all becomes very, very important. So next is in terms of machine efficiency. Based on my 15 years of experience, it is very common to see companies do not measure machine performance. It is very, very common. So one of the key issues here is if you do not measure machine performance, how do you know your machine capacity is maximized? So if it is not maximized, definitely there's some waste. So in all kinds of digitalization work, one of the optimal objectives is always to help clients reduce their waste. And only through reducing waste, we can work together to achieve the common goal of sustainable manufacturing. And as I believe most of you, when you walk into supermarkets, you will see the number of choices of the products on shelf is plentiful. This is because of consumer-driven needs, and this will give a lot of pressure to factories to cope with the increasing complexity. So if your process is still very manual, whenever complexity increases, you can only increase your labor supply to cope with the change. But if you have successfully digitalized, you can rely on IT systems, software, data, etc., to help you cope with the increasing complexity. So these are all the reasons, very strong reasons why I see there's a need for digitalization. And as mentioned earlier, so all this effort at the end is to help clients or manufacturers reduce their waste, improve yield. And all this is in line with the reduce, reuse, recycle approach for sustainable manufacturing. So if you are still not convinced by now, and you are still having the idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So probably this will give you some good idea on why you need to change. This is the Nokia CEO, and he mentioned this in a public conference, and we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost it. So it's your choice again. So you can decide whether now is a good time to digitalize. If you want to digitalize, how, what are the practical approach and ready solutions out there to help you? Okay. So Industry 4.0, I believe 99% of you would have heard of this term, so I'm not going to elaborate in details. So from Industry 1 to Industry 4, 200 years has passed. And one of the very important thing I just want to highlight here is in Industry 4.0, it is about the handshake between machines and the cyber world. That means your machines can talk to IT systems seamlessly, and therefore there is a seamless data exchange. For example, data from your SCADA system, from your PLC, or from your machines, like what Miss Vicky mentioned, the OPCUA. So all this data can be extracted from machines and then collected into a database, and then from there you can do a lot of work. For example, predictive maintenance, statistical analysis, demand forecasting. So in future, with Industry 4.0, the IT world and the physical machine world will be very closely related. So when this happens, information is supposed to flow freely. And there's one very important term that I want to bring to you. It is called decentralized decision-making process. Now, this is what I always advocate, because in the past, when information is not free flow, only managers had the information. So only managers could make decisions. So now with Industry 4.0, information is supposed to flow freely, borderlessly between machines and systems. So your operators, your line lead, or your QC manager, QA manager, they are supposed to get information in a timely manner. And then they are supposed to make decisions on the go. So that will enable decision to be made very fast at all levels. And then your company can move fast. Okay. So you may be wondering, so Industry 4.0, when you hear about these terms, it always comes with all these kind of buzzwords. For example, big data, simulation, cloud computing, 3D, machine learning, etc. So it is a journey. So when I say it is a journey, so for example, ISO 9000, it is a certificate, it is a destination, but Industry 4.0 itself is a journey. And if all these terms are too big for you and you don't know where to start, my advice is, if you are still having a lot of manual processes in your production floor, the very basic things you can do now is not to go into machine learning, predictive maintenance. You just start by collecting data first, automated data collection. Because only through automation of data collection, then you can have a lot of data to do machine learning, simulation, cloud computing, etc. So all this thing is built on data. So without data, nothing can move. Okay. So these are the very common challenges that I've come across in the factories that I went to. There's a lot of paper records of information, for example, your process data, your temperature, your product weight, your product output quantity, machine downtime. And it is also very common to see factories to have different systems. Sometimes one system A needs data from system B, so factory will get someone to do a double entry. So that will lead to probably human errors. So a lot of things, the good news is a lot of this can be automated. So machines data, it can be collected from sensor for your production information, temperature, output, or machine data can also be exported from machines, for example, OPCUA, TCP, Modbus TCP, etc. And also, when you have different systems in production floor, it is nowadays very common for a system to have an API built in or integration module whereby you can just connect two different systems together and then schedule a data exchange. Also, by doing so, you remove human error and you also eliminate human dependency, because if you have too much manual processes, somebody may go on urgent leave, somebody may be on MC, so that will all add on to stress your production resources. So next, I'm going to share with you some of the very common areas of potential digitalization that can happen. So, for example, in food industry, a lot of our clients, they used to be using all these kind of paper records to capture the temperature and relative humidity. for their freezer, their fridge, their warehouse. So typically they will schedule one person to take the reading 3 times a day, 2 times a day. So this person will waste their time going to a different location to take readings. So the challenge is this: when you take readings, let's say in between your reading taking, temperature is out, you will only know in the next temperature reading taking session. So by digitalization, the one of the very important thing is, once data is out of your control limits or you're out of your ideal storage temperature, you can get alert immediately, and then you can take immediate action to reduce your chances of your material spoilage, especially for your perishable goods, and also reduce the chances of your finished products, for example, food product, from spoiling if your storage temperature is too high, which may lead to bacterial outbreak. Okay, so the next common issue that I see is in manufacturing floor, a lot of readings is still manually taken by human, i.e. manual process. So all these things, it can be easily done by machine nowadays, especially if you buy your machines after year 2000. A lot of machines you have come with standard protocol for communication using RS-232, TCP/IP or USB port, whereby you can extract the machine data and then it goes straight into your server or your database. So by doing so, again, you can get data in a very timely manner. So one of the very important thing is, if you get alerted, let's say your product weight or your pressure or your product process temperature is too high, you will get alerted near real time. So when that happens, you will take immediate action. So alert can be sent to you via the form of SMS or email. So once you get alerted in a real-time basis, you can take action faster, and then definitely you will reduce your product write-off, reduce the defective products, and then you can reduce your waste. Okay, so the next one is just one thing to add on. So data collection is not just on product and process parameters, it can also be your electricity consumption. So we also use this information for our clients to monitor if there's any anomaly in the product. Let's say if a motor is about to be spoiled, so it's turning harder and harder, so electricity consumption will go up. So you can monitor from all the telltale signs via data. So once you have collected a lot of data, the next concept I want to let you know is, if you collect a lot of process data, product data, there's a lot of value in your data. So there's a term called process capability, which is very commonly used in manufacturing industry. So this is about collecting your data and then analyze them. So one example is, it is very common in F&B industry, food manufacturing industry, to give a little bit more in the product weight. For example, if I want to packet my sugar to be 1 kg per packet, so typically I will run at, say, example 1.03 kg. That is because of my standard deviation. If I go at the lower spec limit, and if I go beyond my lower control limits, I will not give less to my client. That's why I give at 1.03. You will only know this if you collect enough data and then analyze your CPK. So if your factory is 3 sigma capable, so your CPK will be typically very close to 1. Okay. So the very important point comes here. So once you know this thing, the next question is, can you do better? Can you reduce the free giveaway to your clients? So for example, once you know this, you can quantify this, you can actually improve your processes to lower your standard deviation in your manufacturing process, and then you give less, but not, you can lower your target weight, but not giving less to your clients. So by doing so, you can save on your product cost. So there's one important thing I want to highlight here is, there's always cost associated with process improvement. So at the end, as factory, you need to decide whether your effort to improve the process, is it worth the cost saving in materials? So the example here is to let you know, through digitalization, there's a lot of data, and then there's a lot of value in all kinds of data if you analyze them. So this is one of the very use cases for data. So the last one is about using sensors. So sensors nowadays is already very, very advanced. You can use sensor to monitor your temperature, flow rate, level sensor, etc., product count. So if you are still using manual labor to do your product count, you can use sensors to do live counting of your product output. So by doing so, you can monitor your live output data versus your plan. And then this information at the end can be used in calculating OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. This is a very important concept for manufacturing. Okay. So next, I'm going to touch on the concept of OEE. So OEE, it is very commonly used index for a lot of manufacturing. It started off in automobile industry, then later on got adopted into a lot of industries. And a lot of our clients are also using OEE to make sure that they maximize the machine utilization. If they don't maximize, that means there's a lot of waste, be it machine utilization time or material waste. So they use OEE as a gauge to benchmark the machine. Okay? So in OEE, there are three pillars. First is called availability. Second is called performance. The third one is called quality. So in terms of availability, it is basically a measurement of how much productive time you have. Okay, so the typical input parameters are as shown here. And the next is the performance, is to measure how fast your machine can run. So your machine rated speed or ideal speed probably is 1000 units per hour. You may be only running at 800. Okay, so a lot of these parameters, if you don't measure, you don't know. And the last parameter is called quality. It is to measure how good your yield is. So the measurement of your rejected quantity versus your total quantity produced is very critical. Okay. So the formulas of OEE, you can check it out in the internet. So here I elaborate in the conceptual level, very high level. And then I want to tell you the value of OEE rather than the formula. And a lot of data here can be extracted via sensors or from PLCs. Okay. So next slide, I'm going to tell you, so once you measure your OEE, okay, so for example, you know your OEE, and again, if you realize your OEE is not very ideal, you are low on your availability, low on your performance and quality, the very next important question is, what do you do with the data? It is a very similar concept as I go for a health check. If I realize, oh, my cholesterol is too high, my blood pressure is too high, my blood sugar is also too high. So am I going to do any change? So for example, I want to reduce my salt intake, I want to do more exercise, I want to eat more vegetables. So if I'm not ready to take action on the information, then it is better that I don't measure. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. So if you decide to quantify your machine performance, to quantify your output, your process parameters, then it is important that you act on the data. So whenever before you start quantifying anything, you need to ask yourself, what am I going to do with the information? If you want to sit on it, then it's better that you don't do anything. Okay. So this is a typical example of OE dashboard. For example, my overall is says 58%, my availability is 79, etc. So I realized, oh, among the three key pillars, performance is the lowest one. Then I can send my engineers or maintenance team to work on the main performance. Is there any way I can make my machine run faster? Okay, instead of running at 800 pieces per unit per hour, can I do it at 850? Okay, so probably you have to do it through more regular preventive maintenance, more regular cleaning. Okay, and once you can capture the data from your machines, you can see how your machine is trending in terms of machine utilization. No? And if you can tap into machine, then you will know what is the main cause, what are the main causes of your machine downtime. So in this case, for example, the inlet jam and then blade misalignment. So all these are contributing to my low performance. So I always believe when I collect data, I also want to make the data comprehensive enough. So once you see your performance is too low, you know which are the culprits for the low performance. Okay, then you can act upon the information, then it becomes meaningful. Okay, so I just want to re-emphasize, if you want to collect data, make sure your management is committed to change and act upon data, because this is the start of everything. Without management commitment, it is very hard to move things. Okay, because to change, to digitalize, to improve your processes, it will involve a lot of coordination between different departments and also involve investment. So management has to be very committed to give the chop to support behind the change management to drive for digitalization to improve your workforce. Okay, so I'm going to come to my second slide of my presentation. So I just want to give you some indicative numbers. If you can improve your OEE, you can also reduce your material costs. Okay, because in your manufacturing cost, typically in a manufacturing firm, your manufacturing cost will have your fixed and variable costs, and then your material costs. So if you can reduce your waste, improve your OE by 10%, that means you are going to get more output per unit time. So by simple mathematical calculation, once you can increase your output in a given unit time, you can reduce your material cost. Okay. So this is, for example, this is only for illustration, depending on where your manufacturing maturity is. If you move from OE of 50% to 60%, of course, your cost reduction you will see is more significant as compared to someone who is at a 70 OE to 80 OE. Okay. So next slide is my last slide. So this is a summary. Just want to recap a couple of points. If your factory is very serious about bringing down your conversion costs, reduce your unit costs, and ready to face the challenge of increased complexity with more complex consumer demand, and get ready for the next pandemic in case there's another lockdown, you want to digitalize your work. So there are ready solutions out there in the market to help you automate your data collection, digitalize your workflow, and then you can deep dive into the data to realize a lot of information about your manufacturing losses. And then you can also use all these processes, digitalized process, to help your team to do more with less. For example, one of our clients that implemented our solutions in 2006, their complexity has gone up by 50%, but they are still using the same number of workforce to cope with the changes in data collection, data analysis, etc. So with this, I've come to the end of my presentation. Once again, thank you very much, Ringer, for arranging for this session for me to share my experience in digitalization for manufacturing.
With the last slide a little bit. Okay, I hope you screenshot already, but don't worry.
Okay.
Vong, right? So don't worry, Vong. We will just copy your contact information later and paste in the chat box. We can do that too. So let's move on to the Q&A. Please pick the first question you would like to answer and read the question to the delegates.
Okay, so this question is about how to reduce machine downtime with digitalization. So digitalization, can I share screen here with
Yeah, you can share screen
again.
Okay,
I can share screen answer. Okay,
Looks
good.
like that, yeah.
Okay, so can you see my screen? So for example,
you would like to, will you pick the right one, full screen?
Yeah, okay. So in terms of how to reduce downtime, so from digitalization work, we can extract information of your machine OE. Thereafter, you can see the trend. And if integration to your PLC or your SCADA system is possible, we can capture a lot of machine downtime information. So this will give you a very good idea where are the key culprits are. So once you know, let's say, for example, the top 3 culprits are jam in my inlet of the compressed air, blade misalignment and cleanup. So you can take action on all these very specific fault to look into what can you do better to minimize the occurrences of this so that you can reduce the downtime occurrences and then hence pump out your OE and then reduce your conversion cost.
Sure. Okay, let's go to
Okay,
the
I
next one.
stop sharing.
Yeah, you stopped sharing already. Yes.
Yep.
We have
Okay.
time good for the next one, I guess.
Okay, good. I picked this question. This is what are the challenges and requirements for incorporating digitalization in Southeast Asia? We are active in Southeast Asia, so I've come across a lot of challenges. So, for example, sometimes in terms of digitalization in certain countries in Southeast Asia, whereby the labor laws can be very challenging. So I was able, this question always pop up whenever I give talks in Southeast Asia is that once my factory have digitalized, I have a lot of workforce. So what do I do with my workforce that I do no longer need through digitalization? Because in ASEAN, a lot of factory, they use labor processors to take readings, do certain manual works of recording. So once all this goes digitalized, what are those people going to do? So these are the real world challenges. One of the very common things I learned from Singapore government is that they have a lot of hand-holding session. For example, the government has a lot of initiative to give to companies to upskill the skill set of their workforce. And they can also have some buddy system, for example, let the younger workforce team up with the older workforce so to guide them in terms of the digitalization adoption. Because if you leave the more senior workforce on their own to adopt digitalization process, how to look at data, how to analyze the losses, it can be very challenging. So it is always good to handhold some of them with the younger workforce who are more digital savvy, then to have a smoother transition. So in ASEAN, if your company wants to embark on digitalization, do not do it in a big bang approach. Let's say if you have 20 lines, don't do it in one go. Choose, start fast, start small. Choose 2-3 lines. Okay. Pilot test on the 2-3 lines on probably if you want to have an easier start, choose those lines which are easier, less compact. Start there first, so let the rest of the team know that it is actually not that difficult to embark on digitalization. From there, you roll out the changes in modular format. Okay. So do I still have enough time?
Actually, we over time a little
Okay,
bit.
cool. I will just reply via email, the chat box then.
Yeah, of course. You can still answer in by text in the chat box
Sure,
because
sure.
our next session is the 10-minute of the networking session. I will show the delegates how to do the networking as well. So,
Okay.
Chong, Vong, right?
Yeah, one can be more
Vong,
easier.
Vong, please go to the delegate website to
Okay,
have
sure.
networking with others too. And looking forward to see you joining our next session. I mean, maybe in the future events.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, great sharing. Thank you, Mr. Chong Von. Sorry, Mr. I always pronounce your name weirdly. Sorry. Thank you for your sharing, Chong Von Kee. And delegates, let's join our next very exciting session. Our next exciting session will be networking session. During the networking session, there will be 10-minute networking session to give away our attendees to visit the booths of our partners to get to know them better. And also, when you visit the booth, please go to the booth function on the menu at your left-hand side. There are PDF for downloading, and the booth managers are there ready to answer all your questions. So anyway, stay tuned. See you after 10 minutes when the video is finished playing. Go to the booth now and say hi to the exhibitors too. And also, if you want, you can stay in the conference room and use the chat box to have networking with the others, like send a text in public, or you can use the private chat function. See you later after 10 minutes.
ถาบันพลาสติกเป็นสถาบันเครือข่ายเฉพาะทางระดับที่ 8 ภายใต้อุตสาหกรรมพัฒนามูลนิธิกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมโดยได้รับการอนุมัติจัดตั้งจากคณะรัฐมนตรีเมื่อวันที่ 16 พฤศจิกายน 2553 โดยมีวิสัยทัศน์คือเป็นศูนย์กลางการขับเคลื่อนและการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยอย่างยั่งยืนภายใต้ยุทธศาสตร์ 3 ด้านประกอบด้วยการพัฒนาฐานข้อมูลอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกการพัฒนาเทคโนโลยีและการจัดการและการเพิ่มขีดความสามารถทางการตลาดสถาบันพลาสติกเปิดให้บริการ 6 ด้านด้วยกันด้านที่ 1 คือบริการข้อมูลเชิงลึกอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกในส่วนนี้จะเป็นการให้ข้อมูลในส่วนของอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกต่างๆการทำการวิจัยการตลาดและการออกเอกสารหรือวารสารซึ่งจะเป็นข้อมูลเนื้อหาด้านของอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกทั้งในระดับประเทศและระดับสากลในส่วนที่ 2 คือการบริการพัฒนาวัสดุและการทดสอบซึ่งจะให้บริการในการให้คำปรึกษาในการพัฒนาวัสดุว่าจะมีพลาสติกชนิดไหนที่เหมาะสมกับลักษณะของผลิตภัณฑ์การทดสอบทางด้านของเม็ดพลาสติกและผลิตภัณฑ์พลาสติกพร้อมกับออกใบรับรองในกรณีของสิ่งที่มีความต้องการทางด้านของภาคราชการต่างๆบริการที่ 3 คือบริการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์สร้างนวัตกรรมสู่อุตสาหกรรมในส่วนนี้จะเป็นการออกแบบผลิตภัณฑ์นะครับประกอบไปด้วยทางด้านของการสร้างต้นแบบและการทำการผลิตเบื้องต้นเพื่อศึกษาความเป็นไปได้ในเชิงพาณิชย์บริการที่ 4 คือบริการพัฒนาการจัดการโรงงานพลาสติกซึ่งจะมีการบริหารจัดการโรงงานมีการเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพของโรงงานบริการที่ 5 คือบริการพัฒนาบุคลากรยกระดับอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกประกอบไปด้วยการอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆในเชิงสาธารณะและการอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆเฉพาะด้านกับทางด้านของโรงงานรวมถึงการเรียนการสอนผ่านทางด้านของออนไลน์สุดท้ายจะเป็นบริการเพื่อการส่งเสริมอุตสาหกรรมอย่างยั่งยืนถึงเศรษฐกิจหมุนเวียนและการเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมเพื่อส่งเสริมเศรษฐกิจหมุนเวียนซึ่งจะสร้างความยั่งยืนให้กับอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยครับจากพันธกิจที่สถาบันพลาสติกได้รับมอบหมายในการขับเคลื่อนและการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยผลงานต่างๆที่สถาบันได้นำเสนอต่างๆออกมาดังปรากฏจากทางด้านของภาคบริการต่างๆที่เรามีอยู่จากทางด้านของข้อมูลต่างๆได้มีการจัดทำเป็นวารสารเพื่อเผยแพร่ทางด้านของความรู้ทางด้านของการออกแบบทางด้านของการพัฒนาวัสดุต่างๆได้มีการพัฒนาและสร้างสรรค์วัสดุต่างๆออกมาเพื่อทดแทนการนำเข้าจากต่างประเทศมีการสร้างสรรค์ในรูปแบบต่างๆจากทางด้านของการออกแบบและการสร้างต้นแบบจาก 3D printer สิ่งต่างๆเหล่านี้สถาบันพลาสติกยังคงมุ่งมั่นที่จะสนองพันธกิจที่เรามีอยู่และเดินตามวิสัยทัศน์ของเราเพื่อก้าวสู่อุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยอย่างยั่งยืน
The Australian Packaging Covenant Organisation works with industry and government to reduce the harmful impact of packaging on the Australian environment. Our mission is to change packaging in Australia, including the way we design it, manufacture it, transport it, sell it, and importantly, how we recover it for future use. We want to create a system where packaging is a valuable resource within a circular economy, where the value of products, materials and resources is maintained within the economy for as long as possible. One of the ways we will achieve this is by leading the delivery of Australia's 2025 national packaging targets. By partnering with industry, including more than 1,500 businesses and Australia's major brands and all levels of government, we are working to ensure all packaging is 100% reusable, recyclable or compostable by 2025. Our work focuses on three key areas: design, systems and education, and materials circularity. We work with businesses at the design phase to help them create packaging that is reusable, recyclable or compostable in the Australian resource recovery system. We support organisations to make their packaging more sustainable across the entire supply chain by helping them to develop more efficient systems and improved strategic capacity. Finally, we are helping to develop commercially viable end markets for recycled materials in Australia. By supporting technological, marketplace and research initiatives and driving collaboration with a diverse network of stakeholders, we are helping industry and government to build the capacity to address the complex challenges of Australia's packaging ecosystem. To find out more about APCO and how we are driving meaningful change in the packaging and resource recovery world, visit www.packagingcovenant.org.au.
Hello, delegates, dear. Welcome back to our very exciting summit today. And during the networking session, have you met some friends there in the sessions or networking function or in the chat, in the private chat function maybe? Also, I would like to ask you a favor. Please fill in the feedback form before you leave this summit, before you go today. So don't forget. Leave the comment so we can do better for you and we can know better how to do better for you. So let's go to the next session. After this, our next speaker covers an interesting topic: creating efficiency by automation in plastic processing, especially in the area of injection molding. Let's welcome the International Sales Manager of Milacron, India, Mr. Tejas Parmar. Tejas, hello. Are you ready? Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Chad. Good afternoon, all the delegates from plastic processing industry of Southeast Asia.
Okay, we're ready to share the slides. You will share the screen or I'll share the slides?
No, I'm going to share this.
Great. Just like that. Thank you. Yeah, I see the slides now. Please full screen that one. Thank you. And click the hide bar. Exactly. So you may have the floor. Delegates, don't forget, we will have live Q&A later. So prepare your questions. Listen very carefully to this presentation. See you later, Tejas.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Tejas Parmar, and today we are going to talk about how we can create the efficiency by adding the automation at the various stage of plastic processing. And I'll be focusing mainly on the injection molding process. So basically, what is efficiency? Efficiency is the output which we get against the input, and we can increase the efficiency either by maximizing the output, which is nothing but the production which we achieve from our shop floor, or utilizing the equipments, or we can minimize our input costs like raw material, the power consumption from our equipments, reduce the manpower usage or manual labors. We can effectively utilize the available space, so kind of generating more output from the available space. So why we are talking about increasing the efficiency? Because there are apparent benefit by which you can get by increasing the efficiency, like it helps you to be cost competitive in the market. You can produce the parts which are more cost competitive than your competitor, so you can market it better, you can gain more market share. It also helps you to produce the consistent product quality, so there is no batch to batch or shift to shift variation, so it helps you to enhance your brand in the marketplace. You can utilize the resources with the maximum possible utilization. You can increase the uptime of your equipment, so you are getting the more output from the same equipment. And all of this leads to you becoming the supplier of choice for your customers, and which ultimately leads to success for your company. So in today's agenda, I'll be covering automation in injection molding machine at a various stage like raw material storage and conveying, dosing and mixing of material, mold changing, the injection molding process itself, what are the possible automation which you can add, then the product removal and transfer, and Milacron, what Milacron has to offer in Industry 4.0. Like my previous speaker, Wong, he has covered good on the Industry 4.0 and possible digitization. So I'll be focusing specifically what Milacron can offer in terms of solution for this. Now, if you look at any typical plastic processing industry, this is the flow of how the material and people moves. Like it start with raw material storage and conveying, followed by the injection molding process where you feed this raw material and produce the actual parts. Now, many processes require post molding operation. Like the Dase-Sing has seen the shrink sleeves, like you send the finished product for either the packing or printing or labeling. So that is the next step. Then it goes for the assembly. If it's an engineering product, then ultimately leads to packing and shipment. So we will see where we can add automation in this entire flow. So I'll start with the raw material storage and conveying. Now, traditionally, yeah, I think this is we have already covered. So traditionally, the companies they unload the raw material into the machine manually or in in bits and parts. Like for each machine, you have a separate storage and conveying system. So rather than that, you should go for a centralized storage and conveying system because it will help you for easy and faster conveying of the raw material across one shop floor or various shop floors in your plant to prevent the raw material spillage. So you are saving on the raw material wastage cost, to prevent the dusting and contamination of your raw material, to prevent the color contamination, to reduce the manual labor, and overall it improves your plant aesthetics. And this is how it typically looks like these are the storage silos, and from there you can store the raw material for your entire plant, and by this piping you can distribute it to various machines in your plant. Are some 3D models of various customers. Now, these are some actual plant photographs of the systems which we have installed in the to our various customers. Now, once you have stored the machine, the next is stored the material. The next stage is feeding it to your injection molding machine, or even for the dosing mixing, the same applies to the extrusion process or the blown film extrusion processes. So instead of going for a manual dosing and mixing, why you should go for an automated dosing and mixing system? Because a single device, it can convey the raw material, it can weigh the raw material so that you are adding different raw materials in the right proportion. It can mix the raw material, which gives you the proper and homogeneous melt quality. And then it feeds the raw material to your injection molding or extrusion machine. And nowadays, the gravimetric blenders or gravimetric dosing system, also you can say that, is gaining popularity because nowadays the plastic converters or plastic processors, they are facing the various problems like inaccurate weighing. With the help of gravimetric blender, you can ensure that the weighing of materials are accurate. Then there are also a lot of raw material spillage. You can avoid that instead of going for inefficient mixing, which leads to uh, your finished product getting rejected because the end property is not matching because the raw materials are not mixed in efficient manner. So that problem you can avoid. The wastage of time, because it's done automatically, and you don't have to do anything manually, so you can save the time and improve your productivity. and there is no labor involved. It's all automated process. So once we have sorted out the issue regarding the raw material storage and conveying, now we can dose and mix the materials efficiently to the machine. The next stage in injection molding process is loading and unloading the molds or the mold changing system. Now it's a laborious process. Like you have to, while you're loading a new mold, you have to actually use sometimes the overhead cranes or manual cranes to load the mold to the machine. Then you have to clamp the machine with the mold using the mechanical mold clamps. And then you have to do a lot of air connections, water connection, hydraulic connections. Now switching to the quick molding changing system, you can get the benefits in terms of you can reduce the mold change over time, which is quite substantial. Lower the machine downtime. You can reduce the manpower you require to change the mold. And during the changeover, we have seen that there are a lot of spillage of water and oil on the shop floor. So you can entirely avoid this, and which ultimately leads to your shop floor cleanliness. Now let us go in each of this stage what the automation has to offer. Like for the mold loading system, instead of going for an overhead crane or manual crane, you can go for such kind of ready-made stationary tables, which is attached adjacent to your machine, and you can preload the mold here. And this table you can see here, it can slide inside the machine, so you don't have to lift the mold. So you are also taking care of the safety aspect of your guidelines, and you are loading the mold quite efficiently compared to the traditional loading process. Now this solution works for a shop floor which has, let's say, couple of machines. But when you have a multiple machine, you need to go for a rail cart solution where you can have this tracks laid in your shop floor, and you can align all the machines adjacent to either both the sides of your this tracks. Now there is a movable cart which moves on these tracks, so it will collect all the molds from your centralized storage station, and it can deliver it to the machine where you require the mold. And in your existing plant where this kind of arrangement is not possible, you can go for a movable cart. So instead of track, it moves on the wheel, and it can move in 360 degrees. So you can take it to wherever your machine is placed. So this is about loading the mold into the machine. So once the mold is loaded, the next thing is clamping it to the injection molding machine platen. Now, traditionally, there are, like, each mold there are 10 to 20 mechanical mold clamps. So every time you load the mold or unload the mold, you have to manually screw it and unscrew those clamps. So it's a time consuming, you're losing on the productivity, and you are increasing the downtime of your machines. To avoid that, now there are automatic mold clamping systems available. There are three options. One is a mechanical clamping, which you can go for a small molds and where the mold change is not so frequent. There is also hydraulic clamping system where, as you can see, this kind of mold clamps are already fixed on the machine platen, and once you load the mold, you just have to apply the hydraulic pressure, and this clamps will move and it will clamp the mold to your machines. Now this system is mainly advised to industries like automobile, furniture, or material handling component producers like crates and pallets, where the molds are very bulky and large. It's becoming quite popular hydraulic clamping system. And last, and the cutting edge trend you can see is the magnetic clamping, where this kind of magnetic plate is attached with injection molding machines. So once you load the mold, you have to energize this magnetic platen, and it will become a permanent magnet. So your mold will be fixed to machine using the magnetic field. and it's quite efficient. In case there is no electricity, the the magnetic force will be there, and the mold will not fall down. So we have loaded the mold, we have fixed the mold to the platen. The next stage is giving the connections to the mold. Now there are multiple water connections, air connections, hydraulic connections. Now doing it each manually, it consumes a lot of time. So instead of that, now there are quick release couplers available for the water, for the hydraulic connections to connect all the oil lines. And for the water connection, nowadays there are ready-made multiple connections. So instead of coupling and decoupling 20-30 connections separately, you can prepare this kind of multiple connections, and you can change the mold, which usually takes 6 to 8 hours. You can do the same activity now less than 1 hour. So you are reducing your machine downtime. So now we'll talk about the possible automation in injection molding process. So I'll briefly cover the over molding or multiple component molding, a mono sandwich molding, in mold labeling process, and insert molding process. Now, what are the advantages of going for this processes? You can avoid the secondary process. From the machine, you directly get the ready-made or finished product. Saving on the raw material, how? That we will see in the next slide. Yes, you can produce the quality parts. Automated operations, so higher efficiency. Precise part, which reduces the wastage of raw material. And faster time gives you the higher productivity. Now, first step is over molding or multiple molding of multiple material molding. Now, if you have seen today, it's becoming very popular that any component like the toothbrush in the morning, you have a softer grip and the harder bristles. Now, toothbrushes are mostly available in two component nowadays. So, in traditionally, it was produced in two steps. But with this technology, now you can produce two component material or more than two component material from the single machine. And the possible application segments, as I have seen, the toothbrush handle, razor handles. So consumer goods, caption closers, where the body of cap has a different color, the flip has a different color. It can be produced using a single machine. Lot of tools like screwdrivers, hand pliers, electronic parts, automotive parts. The next is mono sandwich molding. It's a Milacron patented technology. It significantly reduces your manufacturing cost. I'll briefly show you how. And using this technology, you can use different material in your product, like you are producing a paint bucket and with the thickness of 2 mm. In the core, you can use a regrind material, and in the skin, you can use the virgin material. So it is possible to use the combination of material using this technology. So we have talked in the beginning about circular economy, reducing the wastage and recycling it. So you are reusing the wastage which is generated by your plant in the finished product, and at the same time you are not compromising on the product quality or aesthetics. So you can reduce the raw material cost up to 30%, and this is how the machine looks like. And this is the brief process. This is mold. This is a barrel of injection molding machine. So the first injection unit, which is a horizontally mounted, this yellow color you can see, it's the skin material, the outer and inner part of your product. Assume a bucket. And the red color you see, it's a regrind material, which is a recycled material. Now, using this machine, the second vertical barrel, it is injecting the regrind material inside this mold. So first it will inject the virgin material, which is going to be the skin of your material. And in the core, it evenly injects the recycled material. So from the outside, the product looks perfectly okay, but you are using the recycled material without compromising on the aesthetics. And these are the actual photograph. Like this is a revolving chair base where we have use the recycle and virgin material combination. Similarly, this is a paint bucket cross section where the black color you see is the recycled material and the white part here is virgin material. The next is in mold labeling, where what you do is before you do the injection molding, you enter the label inside the mold and then you inject the plastic. So when the product comes out, these buckets and all the containers, it's already printed. The label is already fixed on the product, and doesn't matter how hard you try, the label will never come out. So you are avoiding a secondary process, which is printing, and you are getting the higher output. And overall, the aesthetic, it looks far better than the printed products. Next is the insert molding. Now there are many engineering products where there are various metal inserts are used, like this as shown. This is a fittings which are used in the bathroom for plumbing. So these are produced in a single process, but traditionally it used to be a manual process where after each of the cycle of injection molding, these inserts were inserted inside the mold manually. Now with the use of pick and place robot, you can do the automatic operation. You reduces the cycle time, so you get a higher output, and you can use your existing machines and mold. You don't have to invest. Just buy a robo, put it on your machine, and it's ready to go. And the possible application segments are plumbing and electrical fittings manufacturer, battery leads, automotive parts like radiator fans or many engine covers, electronic parts. This technology is becoming more and more popular. And once you produce the part, instead of manually removing it from the machine and conveying it to your packing system or packing area, you can use the conveyor belts, a runner separator for the cold runner molds. You can use a sprue picker robo for a semi-hot runner molds, or you can go for a pick and place robots, which will convey the finished product to your packing area. Now Wong has already covered Industry 4.0, so I'll quickly run through these slides. As we have mentioned, in late 1700s, the Industry 1.0 started, where we were using all the mechanical processes and all the engines were steam powered because the electricity was not invented yet. And the revolution happened 100 years later. We moved to Industry 2.0, where we started mass production, use of electricity. And another 100 years, in 1970s, the Industry 3.0 came, when we started using the computers, IT tools, various electronics and PLC-based systems to run our machines and equipments. And today we are into Industry 4.0, which is Internet of Things. It's fully connected. It connects all your equipments to all the stakeholders, to all the levels of your organization. So, is it a revolution? Yes, because revolution generally happens before it is declared or people realize. But we also have to understand that Industry 4.0, it's not a standard like ISO or C or ANSI. It is also not an evaluation or calculation like 0.5, 1.0. It's also not a practice like Six Sigma or 5S, Kaizen, which we do. So what is it? Industry 4.0 is actually sequence of actions by individual or the corporates to improve the productivity, time to market, etc., using various technology and analytical tools. Now, what are those technologies and analytical tools? It's like mobile device, IoT platforms, location detection technologies, advanced human machines interface, 3D printing, sensors, big data analytics, AR, VR, augmented realities, wearables, cloud computing. So using these equipments individually or in combination, we achieve Industry 4.0, and it helps us to improve the productivity and efficiency of our organization. Now, Milacron has Industry 4.0 system called remote monitoring system, where we connect your machines. Like if you see the current manufacturing system, mainly I'm talking about the plastic industry, the decision makers are at the top of pyramid who are connected with the ERP system. At the bottom line, we have the shop floor, we have the machines with sensors, with latest machine controls. But there is a disconnect, like the machine output, machine data are directly not accessible by the people, the decision maker who are sitting at the top. So Industry 4.0 and Milacron remote monitoring system, it bridges the gap between the L4 and L1 level. It collects mass amount of data from the machine, and then it analyze it and present it to the top management and decision makers in terms of trends, chart, OEE, and other performance indicators. So it informs the decision maker if there is any possible deviation. It also helps to take quick and informed decision. So how it works? These are your injection molding machines, and we provide a high speed a device which collects the data in real time from this machine at a very high speed. Then this hub is mounted inside your shop floor, and the machines are connected to this hub wirelessly, so no hard wiring is required. And this hub is then connected through the cloud using internet. Then once the data is transmitted to the cloud, our cloud analytical tool, they analyze the data, they prepare the summary and reports and push it to the various stakeholders like the owners, supervisor, flow manager, QA manager in your company. And many times now you have a plants at a multiple location. So it's easy. All these plants you can connect, and your head office can access data of all the plants together using this technology. Even if they are geographically in the different country, it is possible. So it's a single analytical platform for multiple locations. It gives you basically all the reports anytime, anywhere. The platform is available in iOS and Android versions, so you can actually download the apps on your mobiles, on your tablets. So while you are traveling, you are not in front of your desktop, but you want to see what's my machine performance, it's up or down, how many parts are being produced right now, when was the last alarm came, what was the last alarm, when was the machine down last time. All this information are at your fingertip, and you can access it anywhere, anytime. So this is how the dashboard will look like. So dashboard gives you the information about the productivity of your equipment, quality of parts being produced, what is the utilization of equipment. And if you multiply all these three, you get OEE, which is overall equipment effectiveness of your plant. And as Wong said in his presentation, this terminology, this concept is gaining popularity amongst the top brass, the top management, because it is a key performance indicator which indicates the how effectively you are utilizing your equipments. And a study reveals that if you are able to reduce the unplanned stoppages by 25%, then the overall efficiency OE will improve by 10%. So using the Industry 4.0 solution remote monitoring system, you can see the machine performance. You can also see the rejection summary. You can see the downtime analysis, alarm history, maintenance schedule. You can also see the production analysis with energy consumption. So what are the parts being produced every hours? What is the energy being consumed by your equipment? Quality analysis with rejection and information. It's on the shift basis, hourly basis, and availability analysis with downtime information. can do this for your shop floor. You can also do for the whole plant. And then when it comes to reporting, you can schedule, like you want the report to be downloaded in Excel format, or it has to be sent in PDF format or in form of Excel sheet to your management. You want to send it by email or you want to download it. All this can be programmed. Even you can schedule the automatic reporting, like you program it that after every shift the production report should go to the production manager. The system will automatically send the report directly by email to the production manager. So accordingly, you choose the parameter, you choose the information you need, and you can program it. And remote monitoring system not just help you, it also to improve your productivity, it also help you to reduce the downtime of your equipment, because using this tool we can access the machine performance. Sitting here we can see the programs running accurately or not, what are the alarms and the problems been encountered by the machine. And sitting here the engineers can take care of the maintenance and the uh, problem solving of your issues. So you reduce the downtime, you improve your productivity. So with the industry 4.0 solution, you get the automated data, the process and quality management by system, which was a manual process by now. Now it can be done automatically. You get the improved productivity, effective production planning, predictive maintenance and machine life check can be done online, downtime analysis for finding the root cause of repeated problem and take a kappa actions on that, quick production and process parameter reports, so the management get the timely information. You can make this a part of their MIS system, so you are utilizing the manpower efficiently. So thank you, that's all from me today.
Thank you for the great sharing. I have to say that you managed your time really well. You spent like 29 minutes on your presentation. So let's answer the questions in 1 minute.
Yeah, sure, I'll try.
Okay. Would you like to publish the question or I do?
Let me see.
On the right hand side, there's a given that some Asian countries. Okay, that one. Okay, you might start answering that.
Yeah, so yes, you're right. This pandemic has shown us a different or various avenues to handle the problems. Like one of them is travel restrictions. Now engineers cannot travel; they cannot see the machines in front of them. So, but as I said, Industry 4.0 is the solution. Sitting here, we can monitor the machine performance in real time. So we can identify the problem, we can suggest the corrective actions to our customers, and if the part needs to be replaced we send it, and then with the guidance, yes, we can help them to solve the problems. In addition to that, Milacron has a local agents in Indonesia and Vietnam for local sales and service, and they have a fleet of engineers trained by Milacron. So this is how we are managing till this travel restrictions are over and the people start flying again.
Good one to reply on the global trend. Next question in 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah. I would emphasize that any company who wants to start the automation, whether it's a big or small, what they have to do is really go into detail and see their manufacturing process and identify the manual work which they are doing and how much time it's consuming. Like changing the mold, it takes 6 to 8 hours. So and it's happening too frequently, like every 2 days 3 days you want to change a mold, then it's time for you to go for a automation. So it's really about discussing with us their entire process, analyzing, and mutually discussing and deciding that yes, this is the process, this is a step one where we should introduce the automation. And once you see the benefits, yes, you can increase that scope to further processes.
And I believe that need how to say that, customization, right? You need to talk about the detail, discuss with the detail first.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time today.
you.
I have to end your presentation right now because of the time limitation. Really sorry, and thank you for joining today. Would you like to give the conclusion to the delegates too?
It's a beautiful audience. It was a good speaking about, and thank you, Ringia, for organizing this event. And if you have any question, if you want to know about more about what we have explained, please reach out to Ringier. They will put us in contact with you. Thank you so much.
Of course, yes, I promise we will do that. Thank you for your time joining today, Tejas, and looking forward to see you in your future events.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, after the very technical presentation, let's move on to our next session. Last but definitely not least, our speaker has the plastic neutralization program known as Tontoton. He will talk about the plastic credit impact. Let us welcome the founder and CEO of Tontoton, Mr. Barak Ekshtein. Barak, now please try turn on the microphone and camera and join the live presentation with us. And if I remember, you will also share the screen to share your slides with us too, right? Oh, if you would like to share the screen, please click the red button on the screen right now. It's at the bottom of the profile picture. Oh yeah, that one. Oh, by the way, you have to show yourself first. Yeah, turn on the microphone and the camera from your side too, so we can hear from you. Oh, if you encounter any problems, just text me in the chat box too. You have problem? Turn it on the microphone and camera. Oh, maybe I suggest that you can press the keyboard F5 to refresh the page. You can log in again. Oh, actually, the button is right next to the microphone and camera button. Just check all the red button, make it into green. So, would you like to re-log in? Or I can help you. Okay. Now, please wait, delegates. Let Mr. Barak Ekshtein to re-log in. Okay, great. Now, Barak, did you find it? Oh, sorry. Yes, you have to turn it on too. Otherwise, you full screen the area, you will not see the bottom anymore, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Please share the screen again with all the delegates.
Sure.
Yeah, a while ago you shared a screen first. That's why you couldn't find the, the sharing button.
Oh, I understand. Can you hear me now?
Now you have the floor. And remember, delegates, we will have live Q&A later. So listen very carefully. Prepare your questions. You have the floor, Barak. See you later.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. Thank you for your time to being here with us today. I'm Barak Ekshtein, founder of Tontoton. We're going to talk about the plastic pollution problem in the environment, in the world's ocean, basically natural environment all over us. Anywhere you go, you can see it now, and some solution to offer how to deal with that, how you as a manufacturer, as a suppliers, as a retailers, eventually, or any position in the trade chain that you can benefit from plastic credit as investment tool to create a change, create an impact, and change this big problem, or at least part of it. We'll start a bit about the problem. So basically, the problem it's started many years ago, but today it's acoustic and very serious. By the time that we will finish to talk, around 25 or 30 full truckloads of plastic will enter the world's oceans, coming from Asia mainly, but also from Africa, South America, most of the developing countries where we don't have a proper waste management collection. So the problem it's general. The problem is global. We call it a local solution because it's a global problem with local solution that we need to implement in every step, every place that we see a strong and big leakage to the environment. And this is what plastic ready, certified plastic ready basically help you to achieve. The current situation, what we see in today, it's multiple sites. This one in north of Vietnam, but we work today in Cambodia as well, and we see it in Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, all over Asian countries. Multiple sites of illegal dump sites. It's getting from the basically the situation that there is no proper waste management for those materials. So mostly outside the big cities, the residents don't have anyone to collect the waste from them, so they create their own systems, and someone from the village, some waste picker will come and take it and just take it outside of the village. They will burn it when it's too much, or it's just with the next rain, floods, big wind, will go to the next waterway, and from there into the ocean, or they just try to bury it or hide it or anywhere. And this is the main source of pollution. And the material that we're seeing here in this picture, it's mostly organic and low value plastic. The low value it's considered low value because it's not non-recyclable. You have no no value in the commodity market. Waste pickers will not collect it because they cannot sell it, and that's why those materials will stay on ground and become marine litter eventually. There is a lot of programs to try to tackle, but very, very difficult, especially when it's mismanaged, when there is no waste management. And then for governments, it's almost impossible to treat unless some serious changes is made. For now, it's not, and this is what we are offering here. So a bit context about where we are. The Asian countries, 6 out of 10 Asian countries, this is by the World Bank report, found that 53% of the waste is not collected. So it's huge amount, and all those materials, that coming out to the natural environment, like what we saw before, and this is all picture that we took in Vietnam, and we will see more in Cambodia soon, is not collected. In some places where there is a good recycling system, so the waste pickers will collect it and sell it, so because they can. But all those materials that we are seeing here, they will not collect, and those one, there is river just behind this 20-meter left, will get to the ocean eventually, and it's keep coming every day and growing and growing. So it's a very big problem. With 25% or less is recycled from what being collected. So from the total production, the world production, we talk about between 9 to 11% only that being recycled. All the rest go to landfills, incineration, or just like this, open in the environment. That's what leads to 8 to 11 million tons of plastic that reaching the ocean every year, and these numbers just keep growing, although with all this awareness that we have. So it's a big problem for plastic, and most of it's the packaging problem and the non-recyclable plastic. So it's something that we as a manufacturer need to pay attention and to think how we can take part and solve this. It's something that it's actually expected from us and from our clients, from the retailers, from the company, from the brands. There is a lot of research that you can find to support these claims, and they keep coming. That consumers, the end consumer, actually care very, very much what the company, what the brand is doing with the packaging, if it's recyclable or non-recyclable, or if it's just over packaging. You know, in the days and still today, there is a thinking that the bigger and the stronger and the most expensive and beautiful package, you can sell the product in higher price, so it will reflect the product. But today, consumers are really annoyed when they get some small package, you know, like for something like this, in a huge plastic packaging. They just open and throw it all away, and they say why, actually. So this is thing that we need to rethink and redesign, and in one side, but on the other side, to think what to do with all this waste. And this is what plastic credit basically offers you, how to integrate this purpose, this impact, environmental and social impact, into your brand, into your products, and make some more effective and up to date, I would say, product. So this is what Tontoton is doing. In the last 2.5 years, we started here in Vietnam and expand to more countries. And the plastic credit that we are talking about, it's basically it's like an impact credit. Is how we look at it, and it's a tool for companies to invest in environmental, social projects that will help you basically to connect a good story, a positive story, to your product, alongside with your efforts to reduce the plastic in the product and make it recyclable or reusable as much as possible. We have a short video to explain what we are doing in some 3 minutes video. So pay attention, and later on we will explain more. Thank you. Hello, I am Barak Ekshtein, the founder of Tontoton. By the time you finish watching this video, 3 truckloads of plastic will enter the world's ocean. The biggest threat to the ocean is the mismanaged post-consumer non-recyclable plastic. It has no market value and therefore cannot be part of the circular economy. We call it orphan plastic, and we have a solution for it. Tontoton works with informal waste pickers and households in coastal communities. This allows us to create daily impact and support struggling communities with sustainable income and better working conditions. We opened collecting centers in poor waste management areas in islands and coastal cities in Vietnam and Cambodia. Our goal is to have center in each community that is impacted by the plastic waste, meaning like anything that's plastic, like plastic material like styrofoam, shoes. So what Tontoton do is we encourage them to clean up the environment, all the plastic waste. They can bring it here to Tontoton, and we'll buy it, and we'll give them income for bringing them over here, and we'll weigh it. We'll pay them by the weight that they bring, like the kilos. We also work with local NGOs to create educational campaigns that encourage communities to clean their natural environment and prevent ocean plastic. But plastic waste collection is only eliminate the plastic in a zero waste manner. Did you know that plastic contains more energy than coal? Through co-processing technologies in cement factories, we use orphan plastic as an alternative energy source to coal. This reduces the CO2 emissions created in cement production by up to 25%, while removing plastic waste from the environment. Tontoton is a business for purpose. Our model offers a win-win-win solution. It's a win for the environment, a win for the communities, and a win for corporate,
and adding a significant impact and purpose to their brand, product, and CSR strategies. By the end of 2021, we will have rescued 600 tons of orphan plastic. We need your help to make an even larger impact. With your support, we will open 5 more collection centers in Cambodia, increase our monthly collection and treatment capacity to 200 tons of ocean-borne plastic. Opening new collection centers will allow us to reduce poverty, create more sustainable communities, improve marine life, and help companies.
Thank you. I hope it went through smoothly without any glitch. So this is what we are doing in Tontoton. The program started with the purpose to create a solution for 2 main concerns, 2 main problems. The first one is the huge amount of plastic waste that we are seeing, and the big concern of plastic in the ocean by clients, by brands, by consumers, most of all, and by all the world community, I would say, and to focus on the low value, on the non-recyclable plastic, because this is the black spot of the plastic recycling, basically, or plastic production. There is no solution for those, and we found a solution for it. And the second is to bring these companies to allow them to invest and to create a tool, a program that will be certified by a third party, I will explain, and to connect this story to their brand, to their product, and CSR reports and strategies. So this is what the program is about, and this is how we are doing it. So as we said, we work in Vietnam, the 4th main contributor to marine litter, from 5 countries in Asia, and in Cambodia now, opening community centers and collecting centers that we engage the community to come and clean their environment and their area. We learn, and this is what we see, that the one that suffered the most from plastic pollution, it's the vulnerable communities, it's the coastline communities. They don't have any way to stop it. They don't have any means to deal with that. And this is a reality that they're experiencing, and it's what happened and keep happening as we speak. And I think that most of the people that in this chat, in this conversation right now, living in cities and in more clean places, but those guys that we saw in the video living over there, and they don't have any solution for it, and they trapped in this. And moreover, this plastic goes to the ocean and disappears and affect all of us eventually. And this is what we can change and we could support as industry. So how this system of plastic credit works? So we will define the neutralization plan. Let's say that you are producing a product, an order right now for a client, or you are the client, the end supplier. And what we can do is to decide and to see what is the quantity that you want to neutralize, or you want to donate or support in this matter. And in this way, let's say it's 75 tons, so we will start to collect 75 tons within our system with the informal waste pickers, with the community, and transfer it to cement factories for recycling, in co-processing, use it as alternative energy, and eventually certified the whole process under independent certification, the OBP neutralization sub-program made by Zero Plastic Ocean and audited by Control Union. And then the process basically will be done, and you can use those credits in your brand, in your story, under your products, by the weight, or in any other way. We have so many creative ways how to connect the story to you eventually. So this is quickly how it works. The 4 pillars to understand the program again The first one is the low value plastic. So what we can see in this picture, we can see over here the value plastic, the plastic bottles, tin cans, hard plastic, and so on, things that they can sell in the market. So they will collect it, but all the plastic, and there is tons of it on the beaches, coming from the ocean and throwing away from the community because it's anyway looks like a dumpster. It's the non-recyclable, the low-value plastic, and this is what we are collecting and creating by this system, a new market for low-value plastic, while supporting those communities. And when we talk about supporting the communities, we work with mostly women that are the waste pickers and different community members. We do kind of a contract with them and training. We supply them PPE as possible and encourage them to work as safe as possible. We bring more stable and structure to the informal sector, together with support in the health insurance, the local health insurance if they don't have already, and giving them basically an order for an area to collect, let's say, 50 tons from your area, from this, so they know that they have a sustainable income, steady income for the next 6 months, which helped them a lot especially during this time of COVID and post-COVID and no tourists, so most of them very, very affected. What we are doing with all those materials, we will pack them, clean them, organize, and send them to partners, to cement factories that can use waste as alternative energy to coal. It's a process that's called co-processing. It's basically extract the energy from the materials and use the material as alternative energy, manage to reduce 25%, between 20 to 30, actually 25% around of the CO2 emissions that's created from the cement production, which is a great added value for this program, because cement industry is one of the most polluted industry in the world, and we managed to improve the industry. So it's extremely important to support, while removing plastic from the environment, the non-value plastic, and supporting those communities. All the ash that get from the burn will blend into the cement, so it's basically recycled into new product, together with the limestone and other ingredients that they need to create the cement. But eventually there will be zero waste from all the process. So all the waste will go out completely from the ecosystem. All the program, like I said before, it's certified by Ocean-Bound Plastic certification, created by Zero Plastic Ocean. It's an international NGO that defined what is ocean-bound plastic, where to collect, how to transfer, code of conduct, and so on. All the evidence, all the guidelines, basically to track and record what we are doing, and then we will send all this record to Control Union, a control body. You probably know them from GRS and other certifications. This is the certifier. They will check, they will audit us, they will audit the location and talk with the people and everything. And then when everything is okay, it will go and be registered and get certified by Control Union and Zero Plastic Oceans, and register in the public registry under the client, under your name, basically, or the final buyer name. And then there is no chance of double counting or collecting waste from other places, or not collecting at all and just tell you, because you will not come to the dumpsters and check what we collect and what not. So this is a third party. It's extremely important in plastic credit system and scam. It's work the same as idea like the carbon credit, but in plastic, and it has to be certified 100% and verified, not just by the program, but by a third party. So the main goal of what we are doing, in a nutshell, it's to bring the non-recyclable plastic into the circular economy. We talk about production, use, and recycling, which is work great in theory, but when packaging, low-value plastic, single-use plastic, and different type of products, even ladies' bags are how to recycle. So they left out of this beautiful idea of circular economy, and what we're doing through plastic credit, through co-processing, and this system is bringing back those materials into the system. And our goal later on is to create a system basically that can work also without the help of plastic credit, and by understanding the market and the force of the market, to create financial system that can be independent and sustainable later on and continues the impact. So through community, I think it's the most important thing. We can create this solution and help them to help us and help themselves. And all of this great story can be connected to you. And this is the main idea of the plastic credit. You have the means, the certified means, to take part in projects like this. So we talk about win-win-win solution, from environment to all the stakeholders, to the communities and the people, and eventually to the supporters, the industry, the companies, the corporates, and how they can connect this story into their brands and products, and in so many ways, basically, that we can sit and talk. And we have a marketing, CSR marketing department inside Tontoton that manage, how to bring this story out and support with all these materials. So we will have to do it with you and with your client as well. Just to get the understanding, what you can do is to weight your product and say, listen, I produce a product in its packaging, it's 320 grams, so it's times 1 million. So let's collect this 32 ton and make every product certified and labeled as a plastic neutral product, or just adding this impact and purpose story to the product, if not by neutralization, but by other story, while you're trying to improve this packaging to be recyclable. This is what expected on the long term with you. Tontoton, it's basically business that connect, business for purpose, that connect different parties in order to create the system. We connect the companies and the corporates together with NGOs and government and heavy industry, and all together can create this impact. We do need the cooperations of all of those parties and partners, and we are getting at them actually very warmly, because we're treating something that nobody can treat right now, solving a problem that there is no solution for it at the moment. So this is how it works. Thank you so much for your time. We can take some questions now if you have. You please feel free to follow us in LinkedIn mainly. I think you can see updates and what we are doing and how we are doing it, and contact us through the email. We sit in Vietnam, but operates all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Barak, and thank you, dear delegates. Please screenshot this one right now if you want to have a further discussion with Barak. Barak, I would like to welcome you go back to our speaker back end and join the Q&A.
Sure.
So,
hi.
Yeah, we have 3 questions on the list. So please pick the question you would like to share, and let's tackle this one by one.
Sure.
Can you find a way to publish the question, or would you like me to?
No. If you can publish it, because you can just publish the first one and then.
Okay. This one.
How can plastic packaging manufacturer, supplier utilize the story of plastic credit impact. If we can give an example, sure. So basically what you can do to get today as manufacturer, let's say, is to offer your clients, your clients a new idea how to make their product better without changing the material, without changing the production line, without changing anything basically in the product at the moment. And you can make this product with additional impact, with additional purpose, with additional story by connected to Tontoton project. And there is a lot of product now where we work with in the market, different companies that manage to bring this story into their product. So it's been offered by their suppliers, or it's just offered by them by connecting us directly.
Okay. We have one more. I'm not sure it's a question or a statement, but you could also take a look on that too.
Which one?
It's on your right-hand side, right, in the Q&A mode.
Yeah, I can see.
Or you can just tell me which one you would like to publish. I can do it for you.
Because when I press, it's not publishing. But there is
you
another
have to
question.
go to the Q&A mode because you are now in the public.
Right.
Remember,
correct,
you have to go to Q&A mode to publish. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, good one.
Right, we did it before. You're right. Sorry. How can we ensure that plastic credit we bought are not sold to any other companies? So this is exactly why we use the certification and third-party control body. Tontoton is the first company that's certified by a third-party control body that will come and audit and re-audit the operation all the time, and they will basically get all the evidence from each batch, each collection that we are producing. And let's say that we collect 50 ton now, and we want to submit it. So we have in 7 deliveries, so created this 50 ton. So we will take all the invoices and receipts and evidence and pictures and weights from the factory. And basically this is the way that the certificate can evaluate and see that, yes, there is a 50 ton material here, and this is what they're checking, and if everything is okay, they will register it in a public registry, and then when it's there, we cannot sell it anymore. We cannot register it again and sell it. So basically, it's not just we are giving you a certificate, it's control union that give you the certificate for those plastic credits. And this is how you can ensure, that what you are telling your client is what's actually happening.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
Sure. Why should we care or invest in project done in Vietnam and Cambodia while our company working elsewhere? So yeah, it's a great question, and like before, I think by the time we are talking right now, we are nearly 30 trucks of full trucks of plastic entering the ocean, and the place to influence and the place to make effect and to make impact is in the polluted area. And right now the hotspots are Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Philippines, and so on. Eventually, those materials producing in Asia sometimes, and a lot sending back from the West, from Europe, from USA, back to Asian countries, and we see tons of and hundreds of tons or thousands of tons of plastic not connected to Vietnam or to any Asian countries. It's supposed to be recyclable materials, but then it's non-recyclable and just become waste, and eventually become finding themselves to the natural environment or to the oceans. And like I said, it's a global problem. To solve it, we need to join forces in all places, certainly on the hotspots. So it's extremely important to support, in our eyes, on those, although and especially because plastic, when it reaches the water, After a while, it will start to drift with the current to the deep sea, and then it's a shared problem. Inside the water, there is some imagined borders, for us, but for the plastic and for the fish, there is no borders there, right? They travel all. It's one system, one waterway system, and when the plastic reaches there, it's a shared problem.
I can see, and we eat those fish, so
yes,
it's our problem.
And with the fish,
Yeah.
I suppose plastic issues should focus on just pollution control. First, because so it's basically not a question. Like biodegradable are not good for CO2 footprint, but after consideration, plastic pollution mitigation, cleanup activity should be taken into account for LCA of plastics. So
it's a statement, yes.
It's a statement, but I can. What I can talk here, it's about the biodegradable plastic. Basically, it's mostly PLA materials. There's a big problem with PLA because in the end of life, the waste pickers, the system cannot divide if this PLA should go to industrial compost, and I don't know any industrial compost that will add a plastic bag into their compost production and later try to sell this compost, because this is a product. This is not just compost for compost. So it's still a very big problem, although it's a different moisture, different types of microbes in much higher concentration that need to break PLA materials, and then it's again it's not an easy thing. So the best thing to do, it's to reduce. And what we need to do, I think, the last thing as industry, we talk about business is usual, so business is unusual. Is what we're saying. We have to change. We have to think eco-friendly. Otherwise, we will be out of the game. And this is what you can do through plastic credit, or reduce and change what you are doing right now in a more effective way.
Okay, I believe I can take that as your conclusion for today's presentation, right?
I hope so.
Okay, so thank you for your time and your speech today, of course, joining our summit. And would you please now say goodbye to the delegates and maybe end your presentation?
Thank you very much, all the delegates, for your time. Feel free to contact us if you feel the need to ask anything or to add this to your production, to your list of products or anything. It was a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
And also thank you, Tontoton, and for joining us our event again. So I hope to see you more in our future events. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you, Barak Ekshtein. Let's go to our ending of their sessions. Now, thank you for all joining. Of course, thanks to our speakers and the participants too. I hope that all of you have learned from the interesting presentations from our guests today. If you have any further questions, please contact them by email or email us, Ringer Events, so we can forward your questions to them. Ringer Events would like to thank all the participants who attended this event. We hope that you will join us in the future events and take active part in the discussion. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, before you go, remember, go to the left-hand side to fill in the feedback form. We would like to do more for you. See you next time in Ringer Events. Bye-bye.
ถาบันพลาสติกเป็นสถาบันเครือข่ายเฉพาะทางระดับที่ 8 ภายใต้อุตสาหกรรมพัฒนามูลที่กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมโดยได้รับการอนุมัติจัดตั้งจากคณะรัฐมนตรีเมื่อวันที่ 16 พฤศจิกายน 2553 โดยมีวิสัยทัศน์คือเป็นศูนย์กลางการขับเคลื่อนและการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยอย่างยั่งยืนภายใต้ยุทธศาสตร์ 3 ด้านประกอบด้วยการพัฒนาฐานข้อมูลอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกการพัฒนาเทคโนโลยีและการจัดการและการเพิ่มขีดความสามารถทางการตลาดสถาบันพลาสติกเปิดให้บริการ 6 ด้านด้วยกันด้านที่ 1 คือบริการข้อมูลเชิงลึกอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกในส่วนนี้จะเป็นการให้ข้อมูลในส่วนของอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกต่างๆการทำการวิจัยการตลาดและการออกเอกสารหรือวารสารซึ่งจะเป็นข้อมูลเนื้อหาด้านของอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกทั้งในระดับประเทศและระดับสากลในส่วนที่ 2 คือการบริการพัฒนาวัสดุและการทดสอบซึ่งจะให้บริการในการให้คำปรึกษาในการพัฒนาวัสดุว่าจะมีพลาสติกชนิดไหนที่เหมาะสมกับลักษณะของผลิตภัณฑ์การทดสอบทางด้านของเม็ดพลาสติกและผลิตภัณฑ์พลาสติกพร้อมกับออกใบรับรองในกรณีของสิ่งที่มีความต้องการทางด้านของภาคราชการต่างๆบริการที่ 3 คือบริการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์สร้างนวัตกรรมสู่อุตสาหกรรมในส่วนนี้จะเป็นการออกแบบผลิตภัณฑ์นะครับประกอบไปด้วยทางด้านของการสร้างต้นแบบและการทำการผลิตเบื้องต้นเพื่อศึกษาความเป็นไปได้ในเชิงพาณิชย์บริการที่ 4 คือบริการพัฒนาการจัดการโรงงานพลาสติกซึ่งจะมีการบริหารจัดการการโรงงานมีการเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพของโรงงานบริการที่ 5 คือบริการพัฒนาบุคลากรยกระดับอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกประกอบไปด้วยการอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆในเชิงสาธารณะและการอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆเฉพาะด้านกับทางด้านของโรงงานรวมถึงการเรียนการสอนผ่านทางด้านของออนไลน์สุดท้ายจะเป็นบริการเพื่อการส่งเสริมอุตสาหกรรมอย่างยั่งยืนถึงเศรษฐกิจหมุนเวียนและการเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมเพื่อส่งเสริมเศรษฐกิจหมุนเวียนซึ่งจะสร้างความยั่งยืนให้กับอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยครับจากพันธกิจที่สถาบันพลาสติกได้รับมอบหมายในการขับเคลื่อนและการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยผลงานต่างๆที่สถาบันได้นำเสนอต่างๆออกมาดังปรากฏจากทางด้านของภาคบริการต่างๆที่เรามีอยู่จากทางด้านของข้อมูลต่างๆได้มีการจัดทำเป็นวารสารเพื่อเผยแพร่ทางด้านของความรู้ทางด้านของการออกแบบทางด้านของการพัฒนาวัสดุต่างๆได้มีการพัฒนาและสร้างสรรค์วัสดุต่างๆออกมาเพื่อทดแทนการนำเข้าจากต่างประเทศมีการสร้างสรรค์ในรูปแบบต่างๆจากทางด้านของการออกแบบและการสร้างต้นแบบจาก 3D printer สิ่งต่างๆเหล่านี้สถาบันพลาสติกยังคงมุ่งมั่นที่จะสนองพันธกิจที่เรามีอยู่และเดินตามวิสัยทัศน์ของเราเพื่อก้าวสู่อุตสาหกรรมพลาสติกไทยอย่างยั่งยืน
The Australian Packaging Covenant Organisation works with industry and government to reduce the harmful impact of packaging on the Australian environment. Our mission is to change packaging in Australia, including the way we design it, manufacture it, transport it, sell it, and importantly, how we recover it for future use. We want to create a system where packaging is a valuable resource within a circular economy, where the value of products, materials and resources is maintained within the economy for as long as possible. One of the ways we will achieve this is by leading the delivery of Australia's 2025 national packaging targets. By partnering with industry, including more than 1,500 businesses and Australia's major brands and all levels of government, we are working to ensure all packaging is 100% reusable, recyclable or compostable by 2025. Our work focuses on 3 key areas: design, systems and education, and materials circularity. We work with businesses at the design phase to help them create packaging that is reusable, recyclable or compostable in the Australian resource recovery system. We support organisations to make their packaging more sustainable across the entire supply chain by helping them to develop more efficient systems and improved strategic capacity. Finally, we are helping to develop commercially viable end markets for recycled materials in Australia. By supporting technological, marketplace and research initiatives and driving collaboration with a diverse network of stakeholders, we are helping industry and government to build the capacity to address the complex challenges of Australia's packaging ecosystem. To find out more about APCO and how we are driving meaningful change in the packaging and resource recovery world, visit www.packagingcovenant.org.au.